Recording in progress.
Thing is failure, really, because failure is just that thing trying to move you in another direction. So you get as much from your losses as you do from your victories, because the losses are there to wake you up.
We see a startup failing. Now, what's the difference? The difference is basically because one has been supported and the other has not been supported. But generally speaking, I think that there are a lot of startups, and I mean, with a hub like AFF, a lot of startups will be willing to actually go into business knowing fully well that they will be supported by us.
Everybody is struggling with payment and looking for a new payment idea, and how, meanwhile, there's so much more that could be done in terms of social entrepreneurship. You have in the US a startup that is like an Uber for ambulances, but you don't have that here in this country. So what you have, which people don't really know much about, is there is a logistic company that delivers blood banks for hospitals, and that is big, but we don't have people doing that, competing for payment, for e-commerce. Meanwhile, there's so many other things you can be doing: financial management, financial planning. I feel like in this country we're doing about 20% on the startup ecosystem, and I feel there's so much more that can be done.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 5th edition of the Ecosystem Roundtable Talk. I am your host for the show, your host with the mostest. My name is Amma, and I will be basically taking you guys through the entirety. Well, you'll be seeing my face a lot, to be honest, for this event. I'm excited to have you guys on the call. So, I usually like to start with what the weather is here in Lagos. I mean, Lagos is a bit hot and dry, humid actually. So let me know in the chat sections where you guys are joining us from. We are very honored for you to, be on this event with us. This is the 5th edition, guys, of the Ecosystem Roundtable Talk. We've been doing this since COVID, and we love following tech trends and following how exactly we should, using the tech trends and how exactly we should maximizing the benefit, So it's glad to have you guys here. So I need you all to sit back in your seats. Hope you have something to drink. I have my cup of coffee with me. I have water. I have pen and paper, to take notes because it's upskilling your career. Definitely want to upskill mine. And I want to pick up on a few keynotes from our very, very, very much prestigious speakers that we have. So I'm just going to do small route housekeeping here before I get to the chat section and see what you guys are saying. So, I mean, you guys should pretty much be familiar with Zoom and how it works, but we have the panel session here where you have most of our speakers already on the call. Thank you so much to all of them for joining and for giving us their time. I know one person who is particularly joining all the way from Canada, and this is like 4 or 5 a.m. there. So we really, really appreciate it. And so we have the chat, we have the Q&A. The Q&A really is for the panel session. So do not hesitate to keep asking questions, ask questions, make comments, and we have the chat section. So the chat section is really one of my favorite parts of any virtual conference because there's a whole lot of conversation happening in the chat and a different thing happening here on the event. You have a lot of debates going on, comments and everything like that. And I love chat section. So I'm going there now. Let's see where you guys joining from before we bring on our first speaker. Good morning, Chukwudi. Where are you joining us from? Just reading some more people. Good morning, Maureen. Good morning, Nuhu. Good morning, Adesion. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your name properly. Good morning, Damilola. Good morning, everybody. Okay, good morning, Peter. Peter from Lafia. Good morning, Damilola, joining from Lagos. My co-Lagosian. We understand how it is here in Lagos now. Good morning, Hope from joining from Enugu. Lemu from joining from Lagos as well. Thank you so much, guys. Keep putting out there. Let me know where you're joining from. Chukidi is joining from Asaba. And Samara says she has hers as well. She's got to be, and she has a pen and paper on my side. Thank you, girl. Yeah, nice. So we're going straight to the conversation. And we're bringing in our first speaker, who's going to be starting off the event, and that is the name of Omolola Lija Tunde Aladi. So apologies. So Lola is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in digital innovation and products, and she has her expertise and experience lies in developing and design of wonderful financial products. And she is the team lead here in AFF at the Design and Innovation team, and we're very much honored for her to give us her time. She'll be joining us shortly. So Lola, when you're ready, just unmute your mic, your video, and then we'll let you speak. But in the meantime, while Lola is coming on, I'm still in the chat section reading what you guys are saying. Mohammed Ibrahim joining from Kaduna. Thank you, Mohammed. Hi, Lola.
Morning, Amma. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's a delight to be with you this morning.
You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Amma. Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to the AFF Ecosystem Roundtable discussion. My name is Omolola, as Amma has mentioned, and it's a pleasure being here with you. So it's with great excitement that I welcome you again to our 5th edition of the Ecosystem Roundtable of AFF in partnership with Access Bank. and I am honored to be here with you as we dive into the dynamics of the landscape of technology within the Nigerian space. AFF, as the FinTech Foundry, stands at the forefront of providing thought leadership and guidance around ecosystem issues within the technology area of Africa. And our key desire is to provide solutions to a lot of prominent African challenges in terms of technology. The Ecosystem Roundtable is a biannual event which we've hosted for the last 5 years. And our aim is to drive innovation and technology advancement across the diverse sectors in Nigeria, including health, finance, education, agriculture, climate. But this year, we're focusing on education and climate ecosystems because whether we like it or not, this whole green energy, the whole cost of the earth changing and how our do's and don'ts is affecting our climate, the climate change. Like Amma said, Lagos is hot. We are not sure what our weather is again. So it's time we begin to talk about this part of our ecosystem climate and what technology can do in improving or assisting us to improve our health layer. Continuous learning forms the core of innovation. Nurturing is genuinely the innovation mindset, meaning how do we improve what we have today? How do we make what we have today work at the maximum capacity? And given the rapid evolution of technology, it is important for us to continuously learn. If you stop learning, then you have to play catch up, because the moment you stop learning, new things have happened, new discoveries have been made, and by the time you come back to the learning process, you will literally play catch up. Therefore, at AFF, our strong advocacy for the importance of continuous learning is what drives us to have events like this. It is reason why we are tailoring such events for startups at various stages, your early stage, your mid stage, your advanced stage, just to ensure that startups are at the core of the different new technologies and things coming up. For us, we have a strong 13 weeks training course that we usually have for our startups, which helps them go through everything business, like the legal aspects, the business analysis aspects, the handholding and handshaking with stakeholders, the product design and product development stage. And then at the end of the day, we round up this 13 weeks course with what we call the demo day. And at AFF, we embrace diversity. We are here for the uniqueness of the individuals, because your uniqueness as an individual begins to show in your products, your service, your ideation, and your innovation. And our commitment to this principle is also shown in our annual Women in Tech Training Initiative. So at AFF, we are all for young people, we are all for startups, and we are all for women, as you can see in the number of women that are featuring today in our event. So as I say, the importance of education cannot be emphasized enough, and the pursuit of knowledge is a never-ending circle. The world of technology is dynamic. It demands continuous learning, like I said earlier, because you will be left behind. Learning today, for us today, our learning has gone in form of AI and machine learning. I'm sure every one of us here at some point has referred to ChatGPT for something. And it's showing more and more, according to the World Economic Forum, by next year, 50% of all employees will need to reskill because new things would have come up. For those of us that left uni over 10 years ago, we are relearning, we are reskilling. You see people that went to uni to read something and then they've come out and, hey, they're in cybersecurity. They are relearning, they are reskilling on a daily purpose, because that is what the dynamism of technology has afforded us today. Regarding green technology, like I mentioned earlier, you will agree with me that climate change is real. It is something we need to start speaking about. It is something we need to start thinking of. What role does technology play? What role does AI play? What role can we as innovators, as ideators begin to play in ensuring that climate change is not as disastrous as it has been forecast to be? Nigeria is currently facing intense heat wave. presenting a valuable opportunity to explore upskilling in such area for more opportunities in this domain, especially in terms of sustainable agriculture. I mean, we have in-season and out-season, but with the increasing heat in Nigeria, we can't predict when would be rain season for the farmers, but we can use sustainable technology to help farmers not only irrigate, but to also preserve what has been grown, such that when it's not in season, it doesn't mean not in season doesn't mean not in markets, because we've used technology to preserve, we've used technology to upscale agriculture, and we're able to have certain food items sell all year through. With the global transition towards a low carbon economy, individuals are possessing skills in green technologies and sustainable practices, and they are becoming highly sought after. For instance, gaining expertise in solar energy installation is now a given. Water management or sustainable urban planning are skills that begin to differentiate you as an individual in this new ecosystem that we're finding ourselves. And as we step onto our 5th edition, the foundation of upscaling your career, our goal is to make this event a melting point of ideas. We've brought in educators, industry leaders, startup founders, professionals, and tech enthusiasts. Together, we are strategizing initiatives that pave the way for a future where everyone has skills to thrive in the ever-changing tech landscape. Excitingly, this 5th edition will kickstart with the Youth Thrive Project, a project that is dear to us, an initiative with which we're looking to train 15,000 tech enthusiasts in core technological skills. And these skills range from software development, product management, project management, cybersecurity, data science, empowering youth not just to be ready for jobs, but to equip them to make a lasting impact within the tech ecospace. A heartfelt thank you to everyone that has joined us, everyone that has been a part of this journey, to our speakers and panelists. Thank you for taking our time to spend today with us and to make this 5th edition a success. To our participants, thank you for answering our call and for showing the desire to improve and upscale yourself within this ecosystem. I would like to invite us to engage ourselves, collaborate, and continue the discussions that will shape the future of technology in Africa. Thank you once again, and you're officially welcome to the Ecosystem Roundtable Season 5. Amma, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lola. Thank you. You have literally set the tone for the event today. We do not take it for granted. Thank you so much. And I really, really resonate with your words, because I believe as an Asian country currently that is, I think they have a bill on the floor that they're planning to help or offer some level of discounts to, let's say, older people who have graduated from school, just so they can reskill their career, maybe to use it in the changing technology that it is today. I think they're reducing it by 50% so they can go back to school to learn more. And I think that's just the way our world is going. And by 2030, half the skills already existing would be obsolete. And there's always need for us to stay ahead of the curve, so we don't, get caught short or blindsided. And we're going to move on to our next speaker. But before we do that, let me know in the chat sections what exactly are your key takeaways from the last speech. Our next speaker is Mosti Mustafa. He is the Managing Director of Kuda Microfinance Bank, a private limited company licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And I'm sure everybody knows Kuda, with over 7 million customers. And Kuda Bank is making financial services accessible, affordable to Nigerians. And before helping start Kuda Bank, Mosti led a software development at top organizations such as Stanbic, where he built next-gen banking solutions. And we're very, 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 very honored to have him on the call. So I'm just going to quickly go to the chat section while Mosti is getting ready to speak. So Mosti, when you're ready, just put on your camera and your video. And all right, good. We already have Mosti on the call, I think. Thank you, Mosti. Go ahead.
Good day, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. Before I go into the keynote address, I'd like to first thank the Africa FinTech Foundry team for giving me the opportunity to speak today. It's an honor to be here. I'd also like to appreciate the AFF's effort to positively shape the Africa FinTech narrative, inspiring and empowering the current and future generations of African tech talent. Well, we are in the middle of a rapid technological revolution that is reshaping industries, transforming job roles, and redefining the skills required for success. As we look towards the near future, the swift rise of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, and even blockchain technology, all of these are evident. It is not just a trend, but a fundamental shift that demands our immediate attention and quick adaptation. The World Economic Forum predicts that by 2025, half of all employees globally will need to learn new skills or enhance the existing ones to keep pace with these advancements. Goldman Sachs also warns that artificial intelligence potentially will replace hundreds of millions of jobs, while a report by the McKinsey teams projects that by 2030, approximately 14% of employees worldwide may need to consider changing careers due to the impact of digitization, robotics, and advancements in AI. The need for upskilling and reskilling has never been more urgent, but these projections are only stressful if we are looking at them from the wrong perspective. Although automation is expected to displace 800 million jobs by 2030, it also has the potential to create 950 million new jobs. Those are almost 1 billion opportunities that will be created by these new trends. Change isn't just coming, it's already here. And in this rapidly evolving landscape, the key to success is our ability to embrace change, cultivate a mindset of continuous learning, and adapt to the demands of the digital age. Skills like data analysis, programming, digital literacy, and adaptability are no longer just advantageous, but essential for navigating the complexity of our industry, fintech in this case. We must get serious about technologies like blockchain, which has the capacity to ensure data integrity and protect information from manipulations. Which we also must get serious with AI, which is transforming the technological landscape right in front of us by using algorithms to analyze data, recognize patterns, and facilitate decision-making processes. When we integrate all of this together, we create a symphony of possibilities. Blockchain and AI can help create unprecedentedly autonomous and efficient systems that improve over time, offering secure records and informed decisions. Continuous learning is a must at this time. We have no excuse because knowledge is more accessible than it has ever been. We can learn anything we want online, from YouTube to learning platforms like Coursera, edX, Udemy, and LinkedIn Learning, resources that can help us get better at what we do at our disposal, oftentimes at no cost. While I believe that we as individuals are responsible for forging our own paths to success, corporate training programs also play a pivotal role in upskilling employees and addressing industry challenges head-on. Empowering professionals with self-directed learning opportunities and personalized development plan is key to fostering autonomy and tailored growth paths in fintech sector. By adopting a proactive learning mindset and leveraging a diverse array of educational resources, individuals can not only achieve long-term success, but also make significant contributions to the innovative fintech landscape. Educational institutions and technology leaders have a responsibility too. They must work together to make sure that curriculums remain relevant, knowledge is applied in real-world context, and students are equipped with the practical skills necessary for the kind of innovation that will make a difference in the lives of everyday Nigerians and restore our nation to its pride of place. This partnership will be bridge between theoretical learning and hands-on experience, preparing individuals to thrive in the dynamic fintech landscape. A good place to begin is creating a nationwide plan for practicing professionals to teach students of higher institutions as visiting lecturers every semester. We must do everything to grow a skilled and adaptable workforce in fintech by providing hands-on learning experience, mentorship opportunities, and specialized certifications. And as we acquire technical knowledge, let's not forget the importance of soft skills. In fintech, as an example, these skills are not just desirable, but essential for career advancement. And complementing one's technical abilities, it has been said that engineers and product managers live in their heads. That doesn't help. No matter how great a digital product is, you might as well close shop if you can't communicate its value to its intended user in a way that is easy to understand. Teamwork is another essential skills to have in fintech because it fosters seamless collaborations within diverse teams. Other soft skills include client interaction, project management, innovations, and problem solving. By encouraging the combination of technical proficiency with strong soft skills, we will position our nation for outstanding success in financial technology. We must also not overlook ethics. Technology like artificial intelligence, blockchain, and biotechnology come with several ethical challenges. The landscape is rife with complexity, from privacy concerns to algorithmic bias, job displacement, security risk, gene editing dilemmas, and ethical quandaries with autonomous systems. To navigate these challenges effectively, it is important to embed ethical training within financial technology digital literacy program. By doing so, we can foster critical thinking, encourage responsible innovation, build public trust, ensure accountability, mitigate bias, uphold legal compliance, raise awareness of social impact, and promote a culture of continuous learning. By integrating ethics into fintech-specific literacy initiatives, we can make informed ethical decisions, thereby contributing to the consensus progress of emerging technologies in finance, while considering their broader society implication. In conclusion, let's note that the integration of skills development with sustainable practice is critical, particularly in a world where environmental concerns are rising every day. We must seek to acquire expertise in green fintech, sustainable finance, eco-friendly technology solution, and waste reduction. In addition, understanding environmental policy tailored to fintech, such as responsible investing and development of sustainable financial products, are instrumental in tackling sector-specific challenges. If we approach these as a social responsibility, we can build a community with a common goal, educate stakeholders on sustainable finance, and foster interdisciplinary collaboration for innovative and sustainable financial solutions. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. And I think I was reading the chat section to actually look at some of the highlights. And I must say, thank you very much, guys. Keep it coming. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate, giving us your time and your words of wisdom. Actually, let me read what Ime Essen said. Using technology will help advance the farming system and Nigeria as a whole. Taiwo Ishola reiterated something that you said, which was about 800 jobs lost and 900 jobs as well will be created as a result of tech. Just keep it coming, guys. I have Uchenna who says there's an opportunity to learn through the process as technology has taken both place in AI. We really do appreciate your time and giving us, those words of wisdom, and has actually set the tone for the conversation. I'm actually enjoying this, guys. Are you enjoying it? At least I can now say for a fact the trends and the tone of the conversation from our first speaker to Musty, what skill sets, what trends that we should be looking forward to. For one, I know I've taken AI and not just the trend itself, but the ethics involved in it, because they bring challenges, as Musti said. Robotics, blockchain, we should not play down on blockchain as well. Yes, so we're gonna go to our next speaker. She is a revered woman in the industry, and we really appreciate her giving us her time and being here on the call with us. And I'll tell you that we actually called on her so last minute, and she was happy to be with us on this. So our next speaker is Titi Adewusi. She's a co-founder of Niger Kids. Titi is an engineer by training, management consultant by experience, and educator by passion. She's a co-founder of Niger Kids, an all-female founder of EdTech company. Niger Kids is an award-winning company, both internationally and locally, including Global Education Startup Awards, the Milk and Pen GSC Education Business Plan competition, and the Best Creative Children's Brand at 2021. You can look up Niger Kids. I think for those of you who are parents, I think it's a wonderful platform to have your kids on. So I mean, Titi was also selected as one of the leading ladies Africa 100 Inspiring Women in 2020 and 2022, and a Power Woman 100 in 2021. And Titi was named top 5 Nigeria Education Outliers by 2020. So we're very much honored to have her on the call. So Titi, when you're ready, just put on your camera and your video, and we will just hand over to you. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us your time. I thank you for being on the call.
Okay. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you.
Just to start off, I would like people to drop in the chat. Just give us an idea of who's joining. Are you a student? Are you an employee? Are you an aspiring entrepreneur? Are you an entrepreneur in progress? Just to even give us a sense of who's joining us on the call. It also helps guide the conversation. So please keep the chat active. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a student? Are you looking for a job? Are you an employee? Are you a founder? Are you an aspiring entrepreneur? Yes, thank you, Mohammed. I can see we have students on the line. I'll just wait for a few more people to employee. Thank you, student. I see we have lots of students, employee, currently unemployed. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to start by just throwing out some statistics that I want us to just think about, and just get us thinking. So let's start. Nigeria is meant to have 200 million people. Most of the people are youth. So let's assume that we have 85 million youths. So we have this 85 million youths, they go to school. Now, when they go to school, not all of them make it to university. So when you look at the 85 million people that start off in primary school, when you look at how many people end up in universities, the universities in Nigeria, about 167 of them, they don't have, hey, let me give them tops. They don't have population of more than 2-3 million students. So what that means is that if 85 million people start, only 3 million people end up in universities, just to give you a rough number. And so what happens to all the other people? Where do they get educated? How do they get educated? Which shows that a lot of the learning that happens actually happens outside of the 4 walls of school. And so let me bring it down, make it real. So I have an education technology company where we employed some developers. I can tell you that 9 out of 10 of the developers did not go to school to learn development. So a lot of them learned it by themselves. Some people joined boot camps, just to learn that. So it shows that in real sense, a lot of learning and a lot of upskilling is happening outside of the school environment. And let's even just say how technology has even made that worse. So think about it. Everybody has been talking about ChatGPT. ChatGPT came out when? November of 2022. And it's not even up to 2 years. In less than 2 years, see how it has transformed. Someone says they can't hear me. Did you want to confirm if you can hear me? I'm surprised someone says they can't hear me. Can you hear me?
It might be the network coming from a person's end, but we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So can you imagine it's been barely 2 years and ChatGPT has millions of people using it. And I'm sure if I ask you here if you've used ChatGPT, a lot of you will say yes. So it means that no curriculum in university would have been prepared for ChatGPT. How do they suddenly implement what is happening into the curriculum? Are universities or educational systems that dynamic that they can plan what is going to happen? So think about it. So what I want to let you know is that technology, not just AI, not just automation, is changing the world. And it has to change everything that you're doing. So the question is, what skills are important based on this? I think for me, the number one skill that is important is, do you know how to use technology? What are you doing if you're a student, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're unemployed, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur? Are you using technology? So to the student, I ask you and I'm saying, how are you using technology? How are you using technology to learn? How are you using technology to stay abreast of what's happening in the world and even the skills that you need? If you're an entrepreneur, I'm asking you, how are you using technology? Because if you're not using technology, what I tell people is like going to the farm and you go to the farm with a hoe, or you can go to the farm with a tractor. If you're not currently using technology in anything that you're doing, then you're going to the farm with a hoe. So if you're a student and you're not using technology to learn, if you're not using technology to upskill, if you're only doing technology within, or you're learning within your 4 walls of your classroom, then you're going to the farm with a hoe. And of course, you know that the person that goes to the farm with a hoe cannot be compared to the person that goes to the farm with a tractor. Their productivity and what they can achieve cannot be compared. So my question to you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a student, are you using technology and how are you using it for 10x? Someone says they're a lawyer, a practitioner. How are you using it for your productivity? Are you leveraging on what's already available out there? So for me, when we talk about upskilling, the first thing I will say is, number one, are you using technology? How are you using it? There's so many tools, there's so many apps, there's so many things out there. Are you using it to improve your productivity? Femi says he's a data analyst. I'm saying, Femi, what technology are you using to improve your technology? Are you learning about what's happening? Have you heard of Power BI? Have you used it? Have you gone to try to use it? Have you gone to use it? Look at it for on YouTube. Someone says, oh, I'm a data analyst. Do you know what's happening in terms of how they are using various analyst tools with AI? So for me, it's, are you using technology? The second thing is, are you learning, continuously learning? The person that has started the year January and is in March and hasn't gone to learn something, wow, then you're shortchanging yourself. I think I would say that for those of you that are here, 148, it already shows me that you're interested in learning. You must be learning. You must know what's happening in your industry. Imagine someone that finished school in 2021 and has never heard about ChatGPT that happened in 2022. Or the whole of 2023, you did not use the technologies available, the new ones. Then I'm like, wow. So you must really be continuously learning. What are you learning today? What's out there in your industry? So imagine that someone is doing, graphics design and they haven't learned about Canva and what's available with Canva and what you can do. Or you won't even push out a magazine and you haven't used, the tools that are available. I want to give you an example. I know someone that she went to, she went to launch a book. She doesn't know how to draw. She doesn't know how to use illustration. The next thing she found out, my goodness, there are templates on Canva. So on Canva, she used the templates on Canva, created her book. The next thing she realized that, you know what, I can freely publish on Amazon. The next thing she's published her book on Amazon. She didn't need to do the old way where you needed a publisher. And then on Amazon, publishing her book, people all over the world can buy her book. And the next thing she realized that she has sold $1,000 worth of her book. So I'm saying to you, whatever field you're in, do you know what's happening there? Do you know the trends? Do you know the update? Are you learning? The last thing I would say that if you're upskilling, if you're using technology, if you're learning what's happening in your industry and you're a lifelong learner, the last thing I will say to you is, are you part of a community? Because when you're part of a community, like just what's happening with the AFF roundtable, you keep abreast of what's happening. You're connecting with people that are keeping your mind opened and tell you what are all happening in the frontiers. So with WhatsApp group, with TikTok, Facebook. There's so many communities. Don't be using it only to be following gist though. Be using it to be learning, be using it to stay abreast of what's happening in communities, because that's really, really the empowerment you need and the upskilling you need to really, really be one of the people that are not only just, making the future, they're also writing and creating the future. Thank you, everyone. It's been nice speaking. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Titi. I'm really, really, really inspired by your speech. And actually, when I mentioned ChatGPT, reminded me of my mom. When my mom asked me what's ChatGPT, I'm like, you're using ChatGPT? That's interesting. Okay. And she made me literally walk her through the process and look at her actually giving it prompts and teaching her how to use what prompts. And funny thing is, as we use prompts, you actually train ChatGPT because it's meant to be a training tool. So thank you so much, guys. Put down in the comment section really your key takeaways from Titi's speech. And we're going to go to one of my most interesting part of of the event, which is the panel sessions. But before we go ahead, I'm actually here in the chat section, looking through what you guys are saying, what are your key takeaways, what exactly are the moments that you've taken, what parts of the speech have you soaked in and internalized, or still internalizing and still soaking in. We're moving to the panel question next, to the panel session, sorry. And that will be taken by our wonderful moderator, Nosike Ike, who is currently on the call, as well as our wonderful panel members. We have William Wobo, we have Sean Burrows, Abi Ashekun, and Eloho Thomas, and Hak Sultan. Thank you so much to all of you for giving us your time, for joining us on the call, wherever you are. And I know you guys are different parts of the world, and we really appreciate that. So once Nosike's his mic and camera is on, I will just step back and let her do the introductions and commence the panel conversations. Now, this is very important, guys. Come down to the Q&A and to the chat sections. We'll be going to both and then giving our moderator the questions that she should be asking. So don't hesitate to ask your questions. And above all, always connect. And I haven't said that at the beginning of the event. Connect, drop your LinkedIn. I'll be putting mine down. Let's all connect. This is very important. Like Titi said, join a community, and AFF here, we are a community. We usually hold these events like twice a year, and you have a series of activities and events that we do, both for kids, both for aspiring entrepreneurs, both for people, students who are still just want to pick up a skill. Like right now, we have the Youth Thrive. The registration is currently ongoing. I'll put the link down. It's a free program. You can learn different things, vocational skills, creative skills, and the ones that we're focused on, which is tech skills. So we're doing cybersecurity, data science, front-end, back-end, UI, UX, product design, everything about product design, product management, so product and project management. And that program is going to be going through for the entirety of the year, but it's going to be in 3 batches. So even if you've registered before and you're attending and you haven't gotten an email from us, be rest assured, we will send you an email and we'll put you in the right batch when it's time. So we'll put down the link on the chat section if you haven't joined, just for you to want to register or to send to somebody else to register. It's a free program. And I mean, what do you get to than just getting additional skill sets? And afterwards, we'll do our best to not just only train you, but like connect you with people who would help you actually use those skills blend. So either from a job or from an internship or, from just applying that skill in creating projects. So it's very important to everybody has been saying upskill, reskill, and that's just it. So now we're going straight away to the panel conversation. Thank you, Nosike. So you kind of mute yourself, and we'll just commence the panel discussions.
Thank you so much, Amma. Welcome, everyone. I hope you all have been enjoying the session as much as I have been. Thank you so much, Titi, for that insightful speech. Thank you so much, Titi, for that insightful speech. I have been jotting, I have been writing so much so far. Thank you for actively participating. I can see you're also responding to questions, even in the chat section. Welcome, everyone. Welcome everyone. I will just introduce the panelists. We have some very wonderful people from everywhere. We have Hak Sultan here, we have Eloho, we have Abby and a smiley face, we have Sean. Thank you so much everyone for joining early. Thank you for starting from the beginning with us. So just to go into the introductions, today we have William Wobo, the co-founder of ProDevs. He is the founder and CEO of ProDevs. He has over 12 years experience as a software engineer. Through ProDevs, he has facilitated over 300 talent placements across industry giants. In his spare time, he contributes actively to initiatives such as Job Tech Alliance in Africa. He's also recognized as a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. William has helped so many people get jobs in big industries across different sectors, both tech and other sectors. Next up, we have Abby, who is the Executive Director of Future Perspective, an initiative of the past Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. This organization aims to inspire young Africans to spearhead a revolution in the continent. Future Perspective just partnered with AFF to hold we had a program last year, and this year we're also running a hackathon on EdTech. Next, we have Eloha Thomas. She's the co-founder of CodeandLearn.com. She's a startup that supports innovative companies to hire and pay Africa-based programmers. If there's one thing you would know is there's the sort of disparity between coding jobs, computer engineering jobs, and computer engineers. Through CodeandLearn, these people are able to find jobs, are able to even get jobs and contracts, both home and abroad. Next, we have Akintele Sultan, also known as Hak Sultan on Twitter, now known as X. He's a software developer and an advocate for computer development. His aim is to support the growth of the developer ecosystem in Africa. He's also the founder of DevCareer, a non-profit tech organization in Africa. Currently, he's the CTO and co-founder of Old School, a wonderful and awesome online platform for Africans that offer diploma courses with a great focus on empowering Africans with employable skills. Lastly, we have Sean Burrows, the co-founder of Ingressive for Good. Through Ingressive, Sean has been able to empower African talent by training 1 million youth and connecting over 5,000 to jobs for the next 5 years. Since joining Ingressive conglomerate, he has expanded its reach from Nigeria to Kenya to South Africa and Rwanda, leveraging its extensive international and operational experience to impact youth-led initiatives, entrepreneurs, digital platform, and Africa tech ecosystem. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be going straight into the questions. I hope you all are ready for the facts, for the education you're about to receive now. I implore everyone to carry their bios. I already have mine. I have a book here. I start jotting. We're going to be sharing a lot of nuggets for you. Thank you, everyone. I just want to clarify if you all can hear me before we start. Can everyone hear me? Okay, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Laura. Hi, Sultan. Thank you for putting on your mic. So we'll be going straight into the question, and we'll be starting with artificial intelligence. And to William. Hi, William.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Anyway.
Thank you.
So going straight, what do you think, what stands out as a tech trend for 2024 that professionals should pay attention to for career growth?
Okay. So typically, for people currently trying to find jobs and looking for jobs right now, starting 2024, a couple of things to note. Most organizations right now are now moving towards the AI trend, just like every other speaker has said in time past. Everybody right now is going towards AI, right? And when you're putting in your job applications right now, or you're applying for jobs, typically 90% of the time, it's typically an AI that's probably reviewing your profiles. And as they review your profiles, they either sieve you out or they move you, forward, in the interview trend. So it's very important that right now, each and every one of you on the call, when you're applying for jobs, you can either pass your CVs via resume analyzers. Those tools available for you to analyze the JD, comparing that with your resume, and then giving you nuggets or things that you can actually help you apply for jobs, right? That's one thing to note. In 2024, we're also seeing that there's a rise in blockchain. Blockchain right now is becoming a big thing. As you would know, Bitcoin right now is also on the rise. So we're seeing that a lot of companies right now are now hiring for blockchain engineers. We're also seeing that automation is becoming a big thing too in the space. Freelancing to a lot of companies, a lot of individuals right now because of what's happening in the global space. As companies are automating a couple of things, a lot of layoffs are happening and a lot of people are going back into the freelance market. So we're seeing that there's a high rise for people to work on their soft skills so that way they can handle things like objections when they go into freelancing platforms. So those are some of the trends I've seen in the market, and for 2024, those are some of the things to note as an employee or as a job applicant currently looking for a job. Yeah.
Thank you. The world is becoming a global village now. Everyone, through the use of these online tools such as Zoom and other communication tools, you're able to work from anywhere. So I can guess that's why freelancing is becoming a thing now.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing ChatGPT. Everybody's talking about how AI might be coming for jobs. Recently on Twitter, I was seeing how I think there's this AI that just came out that can even write programs. And we were talking about how, is that going to take software engineering jobs? It was a big, it was almost a debate, I think, on tech Twitter. And even right now, there are AI there are tools and tips for you to, circumvent and work around the AI that reviews your resume. You'll see people talking about how, some tips, some words, some keywords you should use just to make sure that you're able to go through that first line of hurdle.
Exactly.
And I can understand how it's funny how this AI, this innovation is reading your resume, and at the same time, you're supposed to be preparing to be able to use this technology also.
Exactly. So, and can I add to that?
Yeah, sure, you can. Sure.
As you would know, Devon is still in its early stage, but it's something that every software engineer should know, should be aware of, that these tools are out there. There are also AI tools right now that can review your profile and also go out there, find jobs for you, and then apply for those jobs for you. So that's also something to note too, that help applicants that are actually applying for jobs. So the world is changing rapidly, and everyone just needs to have an eye out there as to what are the models that are currently being built. How can it help me as an applicant, and how can it also increase my chances of getting opportunities?
Yeah, I don't know. I think even on ProDevs, because I had gone through the site and just to, check it out. And I had seen that you can put in your application and they would also send you like jobs that you can actually apply for. I think they'll also apply for you automatically. And I think even Google has that also, Jobs AI or something like that. You can also do the same thing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Oh, don't worry, continue.
Yeah. And another thing to add too is for those of us that are actually preparing for an interview that has maybe interview scares, right now, the beautiful thing with AI right now is that you can actually conduct an interview with an AI and it appears like a human being, and it then gives you feedback as to, where can I improve, right? How's my speech frequency? How was my attitude during the interview or the prep interview I had? What were a couple of things that I could do? What were the filler words that I was making use of? Those are the things that AI can help you with right now, as you prepare for an interview. So there's a whole lot happening, and it's an exciting time literally for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Except for we're dropping gems. William just dropped something. If you're searching for a job, look for those tools. You can practice everything, your speech frequency, how you're talking, what you're saying, your filler words. You both should be carry your piracy. I'm writing down. Thank you so much for that. Moving to hi hat Sultan. Okay, you're still here. What challenges do you think individuals might face while acquiring skills in these recent technologies, emerging technologies, and how can the challenges be overcome?
Okay, thank you very much. Just to mic check, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. So, I think somebody asked something recently now on the chat section, on the Q&A about them having problems with taking on or joining new trends of technology. And what I said was that most times it's not when people say, oh, I have issues jumping on new trends and incorporating with technology. It's not really that they don't know how to incorporate those technologies. Sometimes people are sentimental. You get so, say for instance, you used to be a PHP developer or you're a PHP developer, and then everybody is saying, oh, there's this new way to do this, there's this new way to do this, and you're like, nah, it's PHP that I want to focus on PHP. You get so people are it's like a baby, sometimes people are sentimental with programming languages. Instead of that, there should actually be more towards looking at how can I do what I used to do in the past in a new and more efficient way. Now, I'm not saying old programming languages are not efficient. I mean, a lot of core infrastructures are still built on the old 50, 30, 40 years programming languages, C Sharp, C++. Even PHP still runs more than half of the web at the moment, actually. But what I'm saying is, when a new trend comes out, it's mostly built on old trends. You get the backbone. Web 5 is not standing alone. Web 3 is not standing alone. We don't have Web 4, but somehow we have Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, and then we have Web 5. We don't have Web 4, which is quite interesting, actually. But the point is, when you still look at everything, everything still rests on the back of Web 2. You get so when people say, oh, when you look at AI also, AI is not just you're not interacting with AI via the terminal, you're still interacting with via platform. So when you look at the new technologies that we have, they are still resting on the back of the old technologies. You get, and there was a time where everybody was starting to learn tech, assumed that, oh, all I have to do is write a bunch of if-else statements and suddenly I have an AI. Everybody, at some point, people felt like this was, I mean, I tried it myself 7, 8, 10 years ago. I was like, oh, if I write enough if-else statements, it could work like an AI as long as I can be able to guess what the possible inputs would look like. So what I'm saying is, when you see that there's a new trend out there, don't be scared and be like, I just want to stick with what I know. It might be so funny because the funny thing is, programmers are actually hardworking. I mean, I'm not trying to blow our trumpet, but the point is, see, we're able to keep up with the numbers of updates released on frameworks and libraries and languages. Every month, in a month, you have more than 50 release and updates across all platforms of frameworks. Library Angular is releasing, React is releasing a new library. Then we still have sub release under the main release again. So when you have version 2.3.1, you can still have version 2.3.2. I'm telling you, people are monitoring all this release. But suddenly, there's a new technology out there, and everybody's like, nah, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there. Which is funny. You have enough time to monitor up to 7 libraries you are using or 10 libraries you are using. But one technology that is built on what you've been writing for the past 5 years is what you don't want to get into. That's one thing, actually. Now, if I want to mold this question towards our own ecosystem here in Africa, I'm just going to be blunt because this is my field. This is the goal. What I do, but my day to day is not just to write code, is to empower people with what will give them a career. Because so the goal of Upskilling is not to just train you for software engineering. The goal is to give you a career. You get, and software engineering and tech is one of the ways we're doing that at the moment. Now, what impacts what people want to jump into is jobs. You get, and what impacts jobs is the economy. And what impacts the economy are the people who are going to build the same economy. So take Nigeria, for instance. When somebody who says, I want to learn tech as a skill, as a career, the first thing they ask is not, I said first, I shouldn't have said first. I said, this one of the things that comes to their mind is, when I finish learning these tech skills, what do I do with it? And people say, oh, you get a job, we teach you, work with an organization. And then the next thing that would come to anybody's mind is, okay, what tech skills are organizations hiring for? You get, and then you'll be like, front-end engineer, back-end engineer. I'll be like, I've been hearing about AI. Then the question is, how many Nigerian companies are hiring AI engineers? And then you'll be like, I can't really think of one. The same reason why if I ask almost everybody on this call to list 10 game developers that they know that build games like Gameloft, EA games, you probably don't even know up to 2 or 3 people. Not because these fields are not important, but because we don't really see the companies hiring them in our own local ecosystem. So the point of people jumping into new trends also in our own ecosystem is driven by the fact that they don't necessarily see the companies that would hire them in that same ecosystem. So that's one major factor. And then we look at factors like resources also too, and you start saying that, what is required of me If I decide to learn this specific field, what do I need to put in? Do I have the capacity to put in and afford certain kind of material? That's the same issues we have with hardware engineers in Nigeria, or even all over Africa. Actually, I mean, apart from South Africa, and there's like a hub starting up in some part of the country also too. But the issue is when you look at the capital that is required, the input that is required from you as an individual to learn hardware engineering, when you have to start buying Arduino boards, you have to start buying IoTs, and you start looking at, do we have the free access to buy it? Nigeria is not the US where you could buy something on Amazon, on eBay, and then it arrives instantly. And where these companies have their headquarters, so they could always deliver to you. You start thinking that how long is it going to take me to order an Arduino board, and how long is it going to take to get to Nigeria? I'm telling you, before you order the band, before you get to Nigeria, you might feel like, you know what, let me just go and start farming. You probably changed your mind already when you see how long it's going to take to ship, and then the time it's going to take to ship. As opposed to if you have that local infrastructure available, and within 24 hours, 48 hours, you've gotten the resources you need. So when you look at things like this, and you start looking at internet also, how good is the internet, the cost of the internet, how available are those hardwares. So you look at all these resources around you. Out of curiosity, does it look like I'm not speaking English? Because Zoom just asked me to confirm the language I'm speaking in.
No, it does. We can hear you loud and clear. We can understand what you're saying.
Okay, I mean, I'm just asking, maybe the AI, see the AI that you're talking about.
Yeah,
The AI is picking up my Nigerian accent. I was like, this guy, I don't think it's English you're
we can
speaking.
hear you loud and clear. We understand you.
So when you look at all these factors, it's kind of what drives the kind of fields that people want to go into and what they do after those particular fields. So I mean, there are a lot of solutions to something like this, which I feel like we'll probably get into next in the coming questions on Cobot. That is my own take at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sultan. And everyone here, I hope everyone heard everything he said. And I hope the listeners can see how passionate our speakers are. We come to play with this our session. We are giving you big, like, this is an education everyone is getting. Thank you so much. I can hear your passion. I can feel your passion. And to the listeners, for all our speakers, I think it's important for everyone to check what they do, check out how what they do can benefit, how you can also interact with it. Sultan is the CEO of Alt. I mentioned it before, I'm just reiterating it. You can hear how much of an educator he is from his voice, the passion. I mean, even Williams, when he was also speaking on education, this is just the first two speakers we're having on this session. Please do not miss anything. He has just said how important it is to learn the rudiments of any language you're doing, any form of programming you're doing. And I really want to reiterate that because it's very important. Everything that with technology, you see that everything is building on the previous one. Is the reason if you're learning the computer, they'll tell you there's a first generation, there's a second generation, because there is a progression, there is an increase. You have to understand where you have to understand the building blocks, you have to understand the binary before you can start understanding what to do with, your flip-flops and co. Moving to Sean. Hi, Sean. I just want to confirm if you're still on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. So with the increasing integration of AI in various sectors, how do you foresee its impact on existing job roles? And what skills do you think are crucial for professionals to thrive in AI-driven environments?
Honestly, with a lot of things that have been touched on today, I did think about just logging out and letting these guys take over between what was said before, the thrilling keynote speech. There's a lot of information here. And just so we're clear, my background did not start in technology, and I was equipping people and training people and providing access to tech skills before I knew anything close to being, a developer or anything in that space. And I'm still quite far from it. But I think it's been my last year as the director of business and development with Semicolon, where I've been kind of in the trenches with software engineers and kind of getting shoulder to shoulder with guys, looking over and seeing what's going on, where it's kind of let me see where it's completely different than what I thought it would look at. Maybe I was watching too much Swordfish or seeing some of these movies where you have all of this, listening to rock music, doing all these things, 50 different screens and all this stuff going on. Where now what I've seen, and I think Hack Sultan really touched on it, is that there's a lot of research, there's a lot of learning, there's this continuing learning process that's going on all throughout the development process. And what that's kind of taught me, or what it's kind of brought down to me, especially when we're talking about the impact of AI, is that it's not so different than I thought. I think when we start looking at these technologies, they are really the human attempt to do the same thing that we've been trying to do for thousands and thousands of years, or since the advent of, since we kind of became sentient ourselves, right? So again, we are using AI, we are using blockchain, we're using all of these different things. But what are we trying to use these to do? We're still trying to use it to run our business. We're still trying to use it to, buy certain things, exchange value, all the certain things that we've been doing for 1,000 years. Again, is what we're using these different platforms and these different technologies to do. And with that being said, I think it's really, really important, if you really want to look at the impact, is just to have that basic foundational knowledge. I'm going to take it a layer below what Haxalton was just talking about. But again, having that core understanding. So if we're looking at the individual level, what some of us are talking about and understanding the impact of AI, we're talking about ChatGPT, we're talking about jobs and different things like that. But when you look at some of the conversations that some of the biggest minds, some of the biggest tech companies, some of the biggest investors are talking about, they're talking about an AI arms race. They're talking about existential threats to humanity. You even have some people going so far as to say we need to have certain frameworks and different things in place because some people are creating AGI that's going to lead to a digital god, so to speak. So not to make it too spicy, but again, the reason why I'm saying all these things is to say that how I see AI and the impact of it is I look at it almost like a sentient gunpowder. If you want to look at how gunpowder, if you want to see impact, go look throughout history and see how the global shift in power moved with the advent of gunpowder and how people were able to kind of use it and to attain different levels of power. So now we have this technology that's basically able to shift and move the way we approach businesses, the way we approach just day-to-day life. And again, we have to kind of just understand, again, if we want to participate in this space, we have to really understand at a high level that, again, we're trying to do the same things that we've been trying to do. But we also have to understand that, again, we are people. So we have to be a student of how we interacted when we had things like gunpowder, when we had things like blockchain and all of these different advents, understanding, again, how people are going to respond to these situations, being a student of history, being able to understand that, yes, now that I have learned a tech skill, it's not enough just to have the tech skill. How do I use this tech skill in the context of business? Again, pulling in all these different types of research. So again, it's just kind of having that deep understanding in the space of, again, we're trying to do the same things we've been trying to do. Now, that's the impact of it. Now, when we look at how we kind of foresee it impacting different job roles, I think we see that the same skills that you needed to have yesterday have changed have changed drastically. And picking up new skills and different things like that, you're going to put yourself in the realm where you have to really be, again, aware of not where the market is today, but where we see the market going. So again, being able to pick up these skills, being able to understand, again, as Haxalton said, every day you're seeing new updates and different things like that. So you need to be aware of the updates. You need to be aware of the new skills. You need to be aware of how the environment is changing around you, and really just kind of be a student of learning how to learn, how it impacts your environment around you, how it impacts the market that you operate in. So again, I can kind of go in a couple of different directions, but hopefully we'll just leave it there for the next question.
Thank you for holding yourself back. I can understand, like, we're limited by time, and everyone here is really an educator. I can feel the passion. I can hear what you're saying, and I can understand it. And it speaks to the talents we have. It also speaks to the professionals that we have on this call. If there's one thing that I think everyone, especially listeners, should pick, is being a student willing to learn is very important to be able to keep up, to be able to succeed, to be able to understand the advancements you keep seeing in these technologies. It is important you know how to learn. It's important to keep up with what you know, what you think you know, and what you also don't know. Understanding what you know, what you think you actually know would help you to even understand even the things that you think are strange things. Oh, you might say technology is changing every morning, but it's still on the backdrop. Just again, like Sultan said, just like we have iterated before, everything, there's a building block for everything. If you're able to learn, you'll actually catch up to the advancements that are ongoing. Hi, Elo. The next question is for you. I have seen how much you've been relating, how you've been reacting to everything. I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say. Even Abby has also been reacting, and this is without even having to respond to anything. So to you, with rapid changes in technologies, there is a change in programming languages. With AI being able to write code in various languages, how do you advise developers current and upcoming to stay abreast with these changes?
Yeah. Thank you. So realistically speaking, changes have been quite rapid in the past. I mean, if you think about it, from the time of our parents when they were probably counting numbers with their fingers to right now when we have calculators, and understandably now it's fast due to AI. What we are seeing now is to be expected, and it's really going to get like way better. We'll probably be working with robots on the same streets in the next, I don't know, 10 to 20 years time. But I feel like these are not things to be worried about because we should be willing to adopt to changes, right? So I think most of the speakers have mentioned the first thing is to be in the know what's happening, what's new, what's latest version. You can't be using React 8, for example, when there's React 18. In terms of programming language, know what's like the latest frameworks, know what the latest version of these frameworks are, and don't just be stuck on your own idea and saying, okay, I want to stay on this, I want to stick to one particular language, And I'm coming from a time where I used to write basic Fortran C++ on paper, no jokes, like way back in the days. But right now, there's so much technology, and to be sincere, it's a good thing because people have been cloning codes from GitHub repos for years, copying codes from Stack Overflow and Google for years, right? So you can see the adoption happening. You can now say, okay, I want to be the only one that's stuck in the past, and I don't want to learn the new things. So know what's happening is number one. And then know how to use these tools to your benefit. They are there to aid your work, to help your work move more smoothly, to help you work faster. And if you think of it, one thing I like to tell junior engineers is you need to understand why this thing is working this way. You need to understand the logic behind everything. So going back to my example of when our parents used to count with fingers, for example, to when calculators came into play, why didn't the educational system say, okay, even though we have calculators, right now we have calculators, let's give the kids calculators in, I don't know, basic one to start working with. They don't need to understand that 1 + 1 is 2. No, the educational system is teaching them the foundations of all of these things before introducing them to calculators like later on, maybe in basic 3 or what's not. So as a junior engineer, you can't just come and say, okay, there's open AI. As long as I can just type some chunk of text that humans can understand, I don't need to learn what's behind the codes that's working, I can just type it on OpenAI, or ChatGPT, get the code, and then I can get it to do my work. No, you need to understand that. You need to understand the logic behind what's the different frameworks you're learning and programming languages you're learning. So know what's happening, know how to use these tools, know the tools that are available. I think Google also has Bard.ai. If you're a fan of Google, some people are tilting towards ChatGPT. And I feel like the machine is getting trained more. So it has like maybe the response is way better. Whatever tool is available to you, use it to your advantage. Let it hit the work that you're doing, right? So another thing to mention is for people that are entering into this space, with Germany exactly, for people that are entering into this space, you need to understand, you need to have a career path. That's something that I've noticed even way back. And when I started coding, people just come in and like, okay, I want to learn React. Why? You don't know. Or I just Googled and I saw that React engineers are paid some amount of money, you need to have a career path. You want to be a front-end engineer, for example, that's good. What do I need to learn to get to that stage? right? So these are things that I feel like people that are upcoming should understand, have a career path. And it also helps to join communities. I think the first speaker mentioned it. Join developer communities, go for tech events, hackathon, what's not, and get a mentor to guide you throughout the process of learning. Then for we ODs that have been doing it for a while, it's also important to still know how to use these tools to your advantage and understand the logic behind it too. It needs to be emphasized because, for example, if you're looking to get a job with I'm not sure if they're calling them fangs right now, but like the big tech companies, you go through like series of stages of algo tests, right? So the algo test is testing your foundational understanding of the programming language you claim to understand. So you need to understand the logic first. You can't just say, okay, I'm a senior engineer, I've been doing this for years. I don't care how this particular chunk of code is working. I'm just putting it out there. So you need to understand why this is doing this and what's the purpose of this. Also, take advantage of the tools that are available. You can't say, okay, I'm biased towards ChatGPT, I don't want to use it, things like that when your mates are using AI for different stuff, so you need to take advantage of the tools that are available to you. And I feel something that's missing for senior engineers is the fact that I see a couple of them, even in my course of work, and they don't want to specialize. You've been doing the same thing for the past 5 years, or the past 7 years, and you claim to be a senior engineer, right? You need to figure out, okay, I've been doing this. Okay, for example, you enjoy doing backend. It wouldn't hurt to become a full stack engineer. I don't know, explore a little bit of front end if that's your core. If you're enjoying DevOps, for example, you can dive deeply into DevOps. It's okay to still have an understanding of coding and DevOps as well. So, because we've seen clients come to us saying we want a full stack engineer, but we want someone that's vast and that understands DevOps. At least should be able to work and do a lot of deployments in AWS conveniently. So it's not a case where clients are just coming to ask for one thing. I just want a full stack engineer. No, we want a full stack engineer that has some level of understanding in using DevOps, for example. So these are things that are available in the market. If you're a senior engineer looking to change jobs, you need to scale up your career, you need to understand what's available, what employers are currently asking of senior engineers in order to keep developing your skills. So you need to specialize, very important, and stay abreast of what's happening in your field. So you could sign up on any of the media, tech media, know what's happening, because a lot has been happening in the past few weeks with Uber and the Lagos state government. We're in Nigeria with TikTok and the US, so if you have to be in know of all of these things that are happening, if you do not know what's happening in your field, then you can't just be, because I see a lot of engineers hiding behind their screen. A couple of them are introverts. That's okay, understandable. Try to socialize a little bit, even if you're socializing online, if you're part of Slack communities they're talking about things that are related to what you're doing. So these are the things that can help you, and don't be reluctant to change. Feel free to change, to explore new technologies, and don't do too much, right? Because I think some people are like, okay, I want to learn Go, I'm familiar with PHP, for example, I want to learn Go, I want to learn Node in a short span of time. So as much as you're trying to specialize, focus on one thing, get really good at it, and before you go on to the next. So these are just a few snippets I feel would help.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I love how you started with the junior engineers and you had something for everyone. And I just have to add to, I just want to say with the community thing, it's very important you find the community you need. And people might say, oh, social media has not been helpful, but if you utilize these tools, well, even social media, I mean, on Twitter, there's something called Nigerian Tech Twitter. It's there you'd find Hub Sultan, you'd find, I'm sure even Eloho, you'd find Atizi. There are people who are very active there. And I actually love when I see these outing figureheads be active there. You'll be surprised how you think, oh, these people are very busy, but they take out time. They take out time to keep in touch. They take out time to keep abreast with the trends, and they actually comment on it. You might be thinking, oh, I have to Google to get knowledge on, React, and you don't know what current discussion would actually bring that up. There's so many, how do I say, there's so many knowledge, there's so many tools, information that you don't know what discussion will bring it up. That's why I think social media is very important. It can also help you to find the community you're looking for. To also have to keep abreast with the events going on. There's so many going on now. I think at least for every quarter there's an event. There was an hangout for developers last year. There was the no code summit. There are so many tools you can get actually on your fingertips for anything you need. Thank you, Aloho. We'll be moving to another section, ethics and governance. And to Abby, hi Abby, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for staying awake. I particularly know the story. Thank you. So moving on, to what extent does government support and policy play a role in the success of initiatives promoting skill development? And how can policymakers contribute to creating a conducive environment for continuous learning?
Thank you so much, Nasike. Hello, everyone. Like TT had said, so please put stuff in the chat, and I'll try to respond as I'm speaking. I wanted to, before I answered your question, I wanted to just say a quote real quick that the former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, he's a man of different quotes if you followed him throughout his career and his 8 years as former Vice President. So this is what he says. He says, "The world is truly becoming an international marketplace for ideas, talents, and opportunities. But to access the marketplace, one must become a global citizen through personal effort. Self-education and self-development will be important. The most successful businesses add value and revolutionize the sectors that they work in. With the advancement of technology, we must focus on critical thinking, interdisciplinary thinking, and collaboration." And the reason why I say that is that as you want to kind of upskill yourself, you have to put in that personal effort into it. And I think a lot of people have talked about it, like people even getting on the call today. And so we as individuals have to play that role in that self-development for ourselves. And then when we start to look at the ethics and the policy side, the world is changing, and we know that. And so what we do ask is that our governments and the public sector, kind of move along with the times too as well. What we found out is that sometimes we see maybe a little bit of pushback, whereas in the private sector, we're more nimble, we're more agile, right, in terms of following what is going on in the world, and we can develop ourselves, change technologies and stuff like that. When it comes to the public sector and having those policies in place, it's usually very bureaucratic, and so it doesn't work as fast as sometimes we want it to. And that there can be that disconnect and gap, right, in terms of what the young people are looking for and the skills that they need versus where our public sector is. So I think conversations like this is really great. And I also think when we have also public sector involved in those conversations. So last year we had Future Perspectives had an interactive dialogue that had ed tech innovators on the call. And then we had the former Commissioner of Education of Lagos State also on there too as well, to bring that perspective from the public sector. And she did acknowledge that sometimes we have, and I think Hack Sultan talked about it, that from the public sector, they're afraid of these technologies, and because they don't really understand, they're sometimes afraid to buy into it. So I think we also have a personal mission too as well from the private sector, that, and also from like NGOs and civil society, that we need to really bring our public sector in, really educate them, share with them that this is going to benefit the economy as a whole. And I think from there, we start to close that gap between public and private sector, and ensure that, because Future Perspectives, and I'll speak from that perspective, is all about the youth, that the youth voices are heard. They're put on the global stage, and we can provide those resources and tools that they need so that they can continue to be competitive, in the international landscape.
Thank you so much, Abby. I think if there's one thing we can agree upon, you cannot say less of the importance of the role of governments. So moving on, I just want to quickly bring this question before we move on to another thing. How can we address the digital literacy gap in the workforce and ensure that individuals of all backgrounds have necessary skills to thrive in an increasingly changing digital world?
Sorry, is that to me or to everybody?
Yes, not to you, to you.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
because I know you'll be going soon, I just want to
Yes. So I think again it's really I think it's going to be both public sector and private sector, coming together. Right now we know that we need technology, we need digital literacy, and we need funding to be able to do, to be able to train people. I know you mentioned, or maybe it was Ahmad that mentioned earlier that, AFF will be training about 15,000 young people or people, in general, in different technological aspects or programs that they would like to focus on. And I think that's great, but that also requires funding, right? And so that's the reality of things, right? In order to be able to train young people or people in general into digital literacy and making sure that we have digital equity. So it's not just digital literacy, but making sure we have digital equity between men and women. And we find out that in technology, for example, we have more men. It's a more male-dominated sector and industry. And it's really great to see people like Eloha, On and Titi, who are women, really championing this space. So how do we get more women too as well to ensure that we have this digital equity and not a digital divide? But I think that there's that need for collaboration between the public sector as well as on the private sector too as well, because if the public sector buys into it and understands that there's the opportunity to be able to provide those tools and resources, they can work with the private sector because the private sector has that capacity to create that capacity building that the public sector doesn't. But we definitely need the public sector to as well to buy into it, to have policies in place to ensure that this is considered, is prioritized within the government or administration. So I'm really happy to see some of the things that are happening in Nigeria right now with the 3MTT and all those kinds of programs that are coming from, from more of a federal government perspectives. And then how do we now, as the private sector, civil society, NGOs, come into play to help support that digital literacy to ensure that our young people are better equipped, are digital literate too as well, because even just in education, in international workforce, you need that technology to be able to succeed and excel in whatever you're doing. So again, those collaborations are really important. And then another thing that I wanted to kind of touch on is not working in silos. So sometimes we get to work in our own little bubble, which is great. We all have our own missions and goals and objectives, but making sure that we kind of extend our tentacles to other people or other organizations that are doing great things, because we can't do it all, right? So, Eloha's team might be really good at coding and stuff like that, and then you go to AFF, which is maybe, great with incubation and accelerator, and looking for those kinds of partnerships that can really help improve the capacity building and really increase scale, because that's what we want. We want impact to scale to impact, right? So the bigger it gets, the more impact we can make within our environment and in our communities. And I think that's, pretty much a summary of just partnerships, locally, private in the private sector, and then partnerships with the public and private sector as well.
Thank you so much for that. I have to agree what you said about silos. I agree everything, but particularly with the silos, and it spoke to what Elo had said earlier about reaching out, looking for your community. You can do that as individuals. At the same time, I can even imagine amongst everyone here with our professionals, even speaking, everyone has to work together. Public and private partnership is important. And at the same time, it also speaks to what Sultan is doing with Old School. especially with the digital literacy part, they are providing these courses for people to be able to learn from everything you need to learn, from coding skills to even non-coding skills, but are also relevant in the tech ecosystem. Thank you so much, Abby. Moving on to Aloha. Hi, Aloha. Thank you so much for still staying on the call. So the next question is for you. To what extent should the consideration of ethics and responsible technology use be emphasized when staying abreast of new technology trends? Also, what practical implication might organization and their employees face because of negligent technology use?
Yeah, so this is a very important one because we are building products, and then what you see is a lot of even startups and engineers are not concerned with okay, what are the regulations around the products we are building, especially if you own a fintech that has like a couple of regulations. You don't want CBN to publish your name that you are not compliant in one way or the other, right? So I think the ethical use of even recent technology, AI and the rest, cannot be overemphasized across various stakeholders. So be the engineer, be the product organizations, and even the governments that's making like this these regulations, right? And I think like one of the previous speakers said, some of these technologies, the government might not properly understand it, so there might not be regulations now, having in mind that maybe in some 2 years' time, they might bring up some regulation, as we've seen in the case of crypto and the changes that have happened around regulations around crypto in the past, I think in the past 5 years. So one thing that's interesting that I've seen is that even the government is taking its very ethical use of AI or technology it's taking it very seriously right now. So I think as at last year, November, if I'm not mistaken, even the US had they had like a over 50-page release on ethical use of technology specifically for AI. And then if you've been following BOSO as well, there've been summits around the ethical use of AI across Africa, and these things need to be put in place to ensure that you avoid the consequences that might come if you're not compliant, right? So yes, there are compliance issues that might come up, so both legal, regulatory, and what's not. And I like to cite two typical examples. So I think I mentioned earlier about the TikTok issue. As much as some people might see it to be more political, it also has to do with data concerns. So data of the in this particular case, the US is concerned about data of its citizens being leaked to other countries, and it might lead to some form of political whatnot. And then I think locally as well, this is a recent one I read about yesterday. I think the Lagos state government is asking ride-hailing services to provide lifetime access of data. So they used to have this data provided to the government on a daily basis, but the government is saying, no, we want to see the data live. Eloy is riding to this particular place. I want to see that Eloy is riding there. And they are saying it's for security concerns, but Uber is saying no, according to what we read. What they're saying is they might be sued, and then that's like giving too much data. So that issue is still going on, or that case is still going on. But what I've read is that some of the ride-hailing services do not mind, and they've shared that live location. So as you're riding home from wherever you are, I know that the government might have access to your data and know what's happening. They say it is for security reasons, but I mean, that's a lot of data, and it's really key even for the government to ensure that the data of the people in the country is safe. So all of these things, I feel they might be doing for the benefit of the country, for the safety of our data and what's not. But of course, some people might have various different agendas for whatever it is they are doing. So now taking it back to startups, you need to know that, for example, we've seen cases where Uber has been sued in many for different issues that might be their direct or indirectly their fault. So these are things you need to be concerned about, right? So I'd say that it's really important to ensure that these technologies are used the right way, especially AI, that a lot of people are still trying to understand. It's taking a lot of data, ChatGPT is being trained based on the data that we are supplying, the questions we're asking daily, the algorithm is being trained to get better, and the AI is being trained to get better and better and better, which is a good thing. But then some people worry that it might not be so good. Like, I don't know, robots might take over the world later. I don't believe those kind of things, but that's another topic for another day. Yeah. So one that I think is necessary is, yes, we have to, this ethical use has to be in place, and there has to be policies around it to mitigate harms that might come on harms related to bias, discrimination, privacy violation, or even social inequalities, even in the area of jobs, right? So some people argue that using AI for certain interview roles might be biased towards, I don't know, different sets of people, females, Black folks, people with a certain type of skill sets, right? So you don't want that to happen. That's why you see that in most cases, when companies use AI, they still have a human check over the data to ensure that they are not leaving candidates that are left out. And the most important thing is also in terms of politics. I think we saw what happened with the social media back then when we had like when we're doing they're doing the campaigns and whatnot. So those things are very, very important. The ethical use has to be emphasized. And to the second part of your question, around the implications. So like I mentioned, we've seen a couple of things. You could experience lawsuits like we've seen in the case of Uber. Even a fintech can be sued. Even locally, we've seen issues where some fintechs or crypto companies have complained that they've been hacked. So cyber attacks is real. So if you know you have a startup that's processing funds, you have to be cautious about your technology. You don't want data breaches, you don't want to incur regulatory fines. A couple of these big tech companies have paid so much through their nose in the past, and for banks, for example, you don't want system downtime, so reputational damage as well. You don't want people complaining about your brand constantly. Nigerians will drag you on Twitter if they can't send money, or if they can't withdraw their cash from any platform you have. So these are things to take note of. You don't want legal liabilities. You don't want operational disruption that can cost you money, So all of these things are quite key. And I think also to mention the case of Binance and the Nigerian government as well, little things like that. So the government is being cautious about the data of its people. So if you know you're starting up something, you're building up a product and you're going to be taking people's data, you need to be sure that you are compliant. So that's so as to avoid all of these issues that might occur due to non-compliance. So the basic thing is ensure you are compliant. And then if you are working on the product around AI, understand that policies might change eventually. So how's your team ready to, I don't know, combat whatever issues might occur data? If they say, okay, no more collecting data in this certain type of way, are you ready to shift do you have an alternative means of collecting those data and being compliant in that case? Yeah.
I think post Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, the US government have been very, very particular about their citizens' data. And another thing I just got from what you said is speaking to everything we've been saying here, it is important to be up to date with what is going on in the industry you're working in. There's been a lot of discourse about data. It's rising even now with the use of TikTok and other forms of social media. What are we doing with this data that is being created every day? Okay, you might say it's not clean data, but it's still useful. Your information, I mean, even moving to like pop, media and pop, you'd see there are people who would say, oh, this person came to my location just because I posted a picture. It is important to know what you're doing with your data. And even for companies, you also know how you're utilizing these data. Not talking the government. I'm not even surprised the Lagos government released the news with Uber. The data is very important. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So we'll be moving on to, for everyone asking questions, please drop your questions. I'll bring it up. We also have our panelists responding as much as they can. Hi, Yakubu. He just said he's been in the tech industry for a very long time, reskilling and upskilling in emerging technology. To anyone really, how do you advise me to package myself and advance my career? Where should I focus? AI, blockchain, data science? There are a lot of things he mentioned. And he said he has intermediate skills and experience in all aspects. So he has intermediate skills and experience in AI, blockchain, data science, data analytics, cybersecurity, app development. Hello, I can see you're already smirking at that. And
yeah, we get these questions a lot, so I'm not surprised.
So you can take it. You can. I think you've spoken to it, but just to reiterate what you had said.
Okay, so to Yakubu, Yes, keep reskilling and upskilling as you have said. And don't just go for everything you stated, AI, blockchain, data science, data analysis. I'm not sure what your background is in, right? So I'll give an example. If you're working as a backend engineer, for example, and you're thinking of upskilling, what are your areas of interest? So I've met some backend engineers that are like, okay, I'm not interested in front end at all. So what do you want to add to that knowledge you have? Would you say, okay, you want to explore DevOps? For example, if you're a Python backend engineer, would you say, okay, it might be easier for you to go into data analytics or data science, or what's not. And you can completely shift and say, okay, I don't want to do backend anymore. I want to go into DevOps or cybersecurity and what's not. So I'm not sure what your background is. So one thing I've noticed or we have noticed in our position working with Kotlin is that some engineers do not necessarily know how to write great CVs. And then you understand that the CV is your first introduction to the recruitment process. So I think it's really key that you have an understanding of how to draft the perfect CV. So we have a template for our users that have joined this platform. They are aware that we have a template that you can go and tweak. We also have we have something integrated on ChatGPT that can generate a CV for you based on your skill set you have mentioned. So that's how fast technology is going these days. So we are using AI for that as well. So one thing I would advise you to do first, ensure you have a CV that speaks to your skills. And there's lots, we can go over a session on CV, right? There's a lot of things missing in some engineers' CV. So we've met engineers that are really, really great, but then your CV is speaking less of you. Specify the technologies you're familiar with, frameworks, go to the detail, Postgres, whatever it is, specify it on your CV. Explain, put the timelines. You worked in Flutterwave for this period to this period. The timelines are really important. If you had a work break, emphasize, okay, I was doing A, B, and C. I was doing my master's while I had a work break. So I feel like the first thing you need to do is ensure you have the right CV. Secondly, we've seen cases where people are just applying for everything, especially now that AI is helping you apply, So don't just apply for 20 jobs a day. Don't just apply for any kind of job. Apply for jobs that you feel like you can do your best, that you closely fit the profile at least to 80%. Don't just apply for any job. If not, you're wasting your time and you keep getting disappointment or heartbreaks. So if you know that this job is asking for A, B, and C, and you have A and B, it's fine, you apply. You have A, B, and C, you apply. If you have only A, maybe that's not worth wasting your time to apply for, right? So that you reduce the number of time or the amount of stress is going to take you to apply for different process or go through a recruitment process for you to get to the end and realize that you're missing just this particular skill that is important for us. So have the right CV, apply for the right set of jobs, and it helps to have a mentor. And people don't speak about this a lot. So have a mentor that's going to guide you on. So if you are a DevOps engineer, for example, have a mentor in that area that's going to guide you. If you're a backend, someone senior, a mentor has to be someone that knows more than you, of course. Someone senior that will guide you through the process, and we have a lot of for example, you can find people in communities, and feel free to reach out to anybody on LinkedIn, on Twitter that you admire and say, okay, can you mentor me for a period of time? But you need to have a goal because these people are busy people. I want to achieve A, B, and C, guide and direct me in my career path. So I feel that these are 3 key things that engineers need to work on. So I feel that will help you, Yakubu. I hope I answered the question. If anybody wants to jump on this.
Hi, William, you can just.
I think Eloho did a great job at it. I wanted to say something, but she did. The only other thing I might just want to add is on the CV too. It's also great for us to see like your key achievements. What are the key achievements? When you were working at Flutterwave, for example, just like what Eloho said, or several other companies that you're working at, because that also helps. That gives the recruiter that is looking at your profile, helps us know, okay, what kind of projects you can handle, how big they are. How do you have the experience working with a team? It answers a lot of questions. So having a good CV is, it answers a lot of questions for you while starting the interview process. Yeah.
I said earlier that everyone should carry a biro and book and be writing. This is just one question, and they have broken everything down. So how you can create your CV, how you can also position yourself towards getting the new job, towards getting the career you want. It's very important to detail everything. Everything. Guys, just carry your Bible and be writing. I almost feel like if I wasn't doing this session, I would actually just record. We can also go on YouTube and follow the discussion. There's a lot. Also to Williams, what key features and implications of Web3? What do you think are the key features and implications of Web3 for career development? This is a 2-pronged question. So when you finish, I'll answer the second one.
Okay, for career development, interesting, very interesting question. Okay, so I'm looking for the best way to answer this, with regards to what you just asked. So let me go back, let me just build on what everyone has said. So typically when we look at people who apply for jobs and when they apply on our platform, a couple of things that we tend to see. We tend to see sometimes a lack of intentionality on profiles. We get to see a lot of people they did an internship for 1 full year, they did another internship for another 6 months. Do you want to just be an intern? That's a question we typically ask. So hence the reason why there's now an advice as to, okay, how do you then build your career? So I think it was Hack Sultan or Eloho that said you have to be very intentional, when applying for a job, right? Or even your career in general. You have to know where you have to go, where you're going to, and start building your career up onto that point. So in the area of Web3 is, I would say Web3 works closely in line with, blockchain. I typically see Web3 working closely in line with blockchain. And in the area of blockchain, we're seeing that lots of companies right now, in the international space, typically are vested in, hiring talent down here in this region, that have crypto experience, because not a lot of people have crypto experience, play in the blockchain space. So I see a lot of opportunities in that area, in the area of blockchain, and I think that's all I would say for now, with respect to your question. Yeah.
Okay, hi Sean. It looks like you wanted to say something. I believe.
Oh no, somebody was saying it looks like I'm going in and out. I was like, let me just turn my camera on. I can only see one picture.
Okay, hi Sultan. Hi Sultan. How do you think professionals can prepare themselves for transition to Web3 and also leverage its opportunities?
Okay, just please can you rephrase the question again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
So I said, how can professionals prepare themselves for the transition to Web3? I mean, everyone is talking about Web3 now, and it seems that there are other services that are being built on this recent Web3 technology. So how do you think professionals can prepare themselves for this transition and also leverage the opportunities about the new Web3?
Okay, all right. So, well, it's an interesting topic because I'm just also myself getting into the Web3 space, you understand? Which is funny because before deciding to go into Web3, I jumped into Web5, actually. So I moved from Web1, Web2 to Web5. It's like, give me a minute. So it's like moving from, okay. Oh, interesting. Wow. So it's like moving from this is Web2. Let's say this is Web2. And then I moved to no, this is Web1, right? This should be Web1, right? Then I moved to Web2 here. And I moved to Web2. And then I jumped to Web5 here. You get, so I skipped Web3 here, which does not really matter, because when you look at it, Web3 and Web5 are kind of like the same thing actually, Sha. So I just kind of like skipped like that. But what I'm trying to say is, when you look at Web3 is a standalone system actually. You get, so everything on Web3 is built on Web2. It's a Web2 as the user interface itself. Now, is Web3 coming to talk about Web2? Not at all, actually, because they are literally doing different things. The whole system on the world right now, whatever it is you're building, whether it's Web2, Web3, Web5, we don't have Web4, everything is still on Web2 at the moment. Everything is still being interacted with by the users. You understand? So when Web3 comes and people are like, oh, do I need to jump on Web3? When you look at your own personal career progress and growth, for example, if you're a cloud infrastructure engineer and people are jumping on Web3, what else? What do you want to jump on? Basically, the way you set up infrastructures for Web2 is similar to the same way you're going to set up infrastructure for Web3 also, to even Web5. So it's not really your own bandwagon. All you have to do is just see that, oh, the protocols and platforms you're using are going to be different, and how you're hosting and deploying are going to be different. But there is really not much, sincerely for me, what I've seen so far, there is really not much major difference in terms of deployment for individuals when it comes to Web 2 and Web 3. Difference there, however, is how the protocols work and what kind of, I would say, Web 3 was saying, oh, we came to solve security vulnerability, we came to solve connectivity and co. And that is why when you see Web 3 platforms, what they always tell you is, oh, integrate. Say, for example, let me talk about the wallet part of Web3, because when people think about Web3 and blockchain, they assume everything is crypto. You understand? That's the first thing that comes to mind. When people hear blockchain, the first thing that goes to people's mind is crypto. And blockchain is not crypto. Crypto is just a part of blockchain. You understand? Blockchain itself is a system. You get a system that has a lot of nitty-gritties, that has a lot of applications. Exactly. See, blockchain has a lot of applications. So when you say Web3, when you look at Web3 terms and people who have Web3 services, they always call it like an integration. Say you have like a MetaMask wallet. You would see that the MetaMask wallet is not standing alone. It's being integrated into a specific platform. It's the same thing with AI when you look at it also. AI is necessarily not standing alone. AI is being integrated into certain platform. I was saying earlier that, oh, this Zoom was asking me if the language I'm speaking is English because of my thick Niger accent. You understand? You see, this thing will not ask Sean if what he's speaking is English because he has Oyibo accent. Sure, you understand? So that's the thing. But then we've been using Zoom for a very long time, even before the whole hype around AI started. But when AI came, all Zoom had to do was integrate AI into Zoom. They did not say, oh, let us cancel Zoom and start building an AI calling platform. You understand? Which platform again is something similar? When you look at Notion, when you look at all this other, even Figma now has AI, the subtitle systems now have AI. Basically, when you look at Web3, what I would want to say is see it as an integration on top of Web2. And it's mostly something that works on, we have an additional services that we want to provide. Let us provide this as a layer on top of Web2. Now, when you're not talking about the benefits, however, of I'm talking about the fintech part now of Web3. We're not talking about the benefits. You now say, oh, perhaps we are saying because Web3 looks more secured than Web2, or Web3 has more inter-region transfers and protocols. So, for example, about 3 years ago, I was working with the Mozilla team with Creative Commons and Coil, and we're working on something called web monetization. It's an open protocol. We are majorly leveraging TCP/IP, and the goal was of the whole project itself. But it was an $100 million fund from Mozilla. We had Mozilla, Coil, Creative Commons. Those are the three people who put together the fund, and it has been active for like 2 years before I joined the team. And the goal was simple. We want to transfer money the same way you send text over the internet. And we want to make sure that it does not matter what location you have access to all the information you need, and you can make payments on the go. This payment now including this payment was now stuff like, say, subscription to platforms and newsletters. Say somebody shared a link to you. You probably have faced this in the past. Somebody shared a link to an article to you, and then you tried reading the article, and then you saw that there's a paywall. You're not going to subscribe to the Guardian or the New Yorker for a 1 month subscription. That's because you want to read one article. You understand? It's not. How many do you want to do? You're not going to subscribe to Vogue because you want to read just one single article. But with web monetization, you can read that article, and Vogue still gets paid for you reading just one single article. You understand? And there's no matter whether you're in Nigeria or not, you don't have to start worrying about, oh, do I have a PayPal account? You get PayPal doesn't even allow you to even create an account from Nigeria. You get, so all those issues, that was what web monetization was trying to solve. And what we're using was a system that was based on the previous Web2 system that we have. I'm saying even Web1 system, because when people right now don't think about TCP/IP and protocols and co when they are building Web2 platforms. So these conversations was initially coming up at the beginning of when we're setting up HTTP, the internet itself. So this was like the fundamental of how we started building browsers and internet. So when you're learning tech today, you're learning the basics and you're learning the framework. Nothing really concerns you about how data is moving across system and how the bits and binary coding is working. So what we're working with at that particular point was more of like the beginning, the fundamental of the internet protocols and systems that was moving in place. And we decided to say, if we could send text over this platform protocol, we can send money over this protocol too also. So what I'm saying is, look at Web3 as an integration that is still standing on top of Web2 itself. And the same way for, okay, I think this could be a cheat code actually. The same way people say, oh, we've created a new version of React now. I've created a new version of Angular. The same way you see that, oh, we have certain fixes we need to do in the previous Angular or previous React, and then we release a new version. See it as Web3 saw some loopholes that they needed to fix and decided to release a new version. Does not mean that Web3 is not working or it's not perfect, but it's just like a layer on top of it. That's majorly what it is. Now, there is a chance that I might have strayed away from the question you asked me. There's a small possibility. So let me get that question. Let me remember that question again. And okay, yeah. How did they prepare
You've
themselves to
answered
leverage?
You've answered it completely.
I've answered.
You
Okay,
answered.
right.
You've
So,
covered it properly, and
okay, thank you very
you've
much.
covered it
Because
properly.
I felt
Thank
like
you
I've
so much.
moved off point a little bit.
No.
Actually.
You were learning materials for us. You were just on the spot. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you very much. So
I
yeah,
have-
please, it's all out there for you. If you're a professional and you want to jump into Web3, basically see it as an extension of what you've been doing so far. And your experience in Web2 is very, very 100% valid, and it becomes easier. As opposed to somebody that is just trying to build the apps from the beginning now, that has no idea of actually building mobile apps or any app or even web apps before. You are in a sweet spot to actually take in any new technology and any new information because of your previous experience as a professional. Yeah, thank you.
Sure, I'm enjoying the session so much. We brought people that are passionate, really passionate. You can hear from everything they say. You can hear how the conversation, the responses are linking up together. Is what we're saying from the beginning. The building blocks are important. You can't say, oh, Web3 has nothing to do with Web2. Web3 is so different from Web2. There are similarities. There had to be little gaps that Web3 was supposed to come and fill in that Web2 wasn't doing. And thank you so much. I don't even want to make so much comments because I'll just keep on talking about the same thing we've been saying. So moving on to Sean. Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for interacting. I've been seeing all your reactions to everything he has been saying. So we're looking at cloud computing now. As businesses increasingly depend on cloud computing services, what essential steps or skills are necessary to attain proficiency in cloud technologies and optimize career opportunities in this field?
So when looking at cloud computing, again, I'd probably look at it like I would look at it like a mechanic, because again, if you're looking at this space, we're seeing that, if you're certain numbers going out saying that there's going to be about 3.2 billion that we're going to pay for cloud services in 2024. I know in working with some of the startups and different things like that, even working with some of the projects we're working on, we're seeing these cloud costs shoot up. We're seeing companies that are now pushing to be global, to launch from different spaces. So again, we're just seeing a lot of activity going on. And then you even have there being projected numbers of about 3 million jobs being produced in Africa by 2025. So definitely it's a growing space. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to pay attention to. But again, for me as a non-tech in the tech space, I always try to drill it down into its simplest form. And again, build that solid foundation. So again, I look at it like being a mechanic, just like you would do anything else that you're trying to fix that has all of these different types of advancements in it. Again, you have to understand how the technology works. You have to understand kind of what's powering it, what are the tools necessary. You have to understand as well, like what are the market forces that's driving the adoption of this space. And again, how can you make it happen more efficiently? Again, having that foundational knowledge, understanding how do you approach what is it? There's software as a service, there's platform as a service, there's even login as a service. Paying attention to how you're going to deploy these different platforms and different things like that. Are you going public? Are you going private? Are you going hybrid? You have to also look at some of the different platforms that are being used. I know that we were looking at Azure, we were looking at using AWS. And again, you're looking at all of these startups that are applying for these different programs and getting hundreds of $1,000s of credit here, $50,000 of credit there. So again, you have to kind of look at that, understand why are people running to kind of apply for these different things. Why are they giving such huge amounts of money, it would seem, to, you know, give you credits to get on? And it's because there's an understanding that once your business gets up and running, cloud costs are quite expensive. You can end up spending $100,000 in 1 month of cloud services. So again, you have to understand how that process works. How can you build something that can be more efficient in the way that you're accessing the cloud? How are you able to, you know, kind of move in that space? So again, there's a lot. I would just say, just start paying attention really to the foundation of it, really understand the market that it operates in, and have that foundational knowledge. From the semicolon side, we're seeing a lot of activity. We're seeing a lot more requests for people in the DevOps space. So again, especially with AI coming in, we're seeing a lot more requests for that data architecture, your enterprise architecture. We're running into clients who have built something in one particular way, again, because the developer didn't necessarily understand how technologies work together. They've built a platform and got so far into one space, but now when they want to integrate with AI, when they want to add on different things, they're finding that two different technologies may not work well together. So again, these are some of the horror stories you're hearing in the startup space. You're hearing with founders, and things that are driving up costs, things that are causing, again, different perspectives, where people are making certain types of comments about the talent that we have in this space. And again, it's not just us, it's just a lot of people learning. It's a new technology. And again, sometimes in our thirst to get into the market, to get our foot in the door, sometimes people are kind of overselling the skills that they have. Sometimes people are kind of, again, just doing everything they can to get that first opportunity and using some small piece of experience and kind of blowing it up. So I say, just again, take things back to the basics, understand the business, understand the foundation. And also, I would say there's this continuous learning, but this probably taps into one of the questions that came up before, especially on the CV space. But just as much as you can learn your technology, you can also learn about the business market. So I know that when we are, let's say, working with a client with semicolon that's working on a farm or something that's farming related, when we're doing our requirements workshops, we're learning about all the ins and outs of how this farm works. We're going to end up going to the farm to actually see how things work and how do we transition that to the data space. AFF, I know people on that side have been very busy, or very, I don't want to say concerned, but there's been a lot of activity lately, right? So we have a fintech client, or we have fintech clients. So even though we're not directly related to that space, when we're working with the client in the fintech space and the CBN wakes up one day and says that, hey, we're going to change the entire way we're giving people access, or we're going to change how we're dealing with POSs, we're going to change this thing, we're going to change the way the licensing structure works. Again, we're not bankers, but we're running around with the bankers because we're like, oh no, what does this mean? How does that change what we just built? How does that impact all of this work that we've done before? So again, having like domain knowledge, whether you're putting it within yourself or even if you're covering on your CV, when you're applying to certain jobs and you're seeing that this job is in that fintech space and you know you've been coding, but you know you've been building certain things in that financial technology space, call it out, put that out there, kind of drop those details as well, that again, it's the technology specific, but it's also sector specific that can also give you a leg up. And again, in learning that way and sitting back sometimes and paying attention to how the market is moving. When you see the government is saying, oh, agriculture is going to be our new savior. You know that one of the biggest problems that we're having in agriculture is how we're collecting data. So that kind of gives you insight into where the technology is going to go, where certain attention is going to go, and again, where you should start focusing some of your skills as it relates to the cloud, as it relates to so many other tech platforms that we can be taking advantage of. But again, I'll leave it there, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Sean. I think it's very important that in whatever technology you're trying to use, you understand it properly before you try to participate actively or in any form in that space. Understanding it will help you understand the rudiment, also help you understand what possible concerns may regulation have, and at the same time, how can you mitigate or at least work accordingly with those concerns. So moving on, hi Abby, I just want to confirm you're still on the call. The next question is for you. What metrics, hi Abby. Okay, I guess we'll just move on. Okay, I guess we'll just move on then. So hi, to allow her this time, considering the dynamic technological landscape, do you think educational institutions can better tailor their curriculum to adapt? And if so, what strategies do you propose for achieving this?
So yeah, I feel like a lot needs to be done, even from basic education, because I think a few schools, mostly in the private sector, are now having like coding as a core subject, which I find really interesting. This was not the case some 5 years ago, for example. And I think one government that really puts in a lot of work into this whole coding thing was when Ambode was in town. So they had, I think, about 2 programs or more that was really supporting coding in the educational curriculum. So I gave an example of when I did my BSc. I learned C++, I learned Fortran, I learned Basic. Okay, started with Basic, and Basic Fortran, we wrote it on paper, right? And this was not a time where there was no VS Code or what's not, and I had a laptop at the time. So, and interestingly, to be fair, most of our lecturers back then did not have a very strong understanding of the languages they were teaching us. So we had to do our own deep research. We listened to a lot of YouTube videos and what's not. As far as when I did my master's sometime in 2015, the times had changed and there was more resources available to me at the time. So I did use a lot of MATLAB. I did an AI project on emotional detection. So detecting the emotions on people. So I had to get database first, data of people with showing some form of emotion. So smiling, crying, and now what's not, right? And then my AI was supposed to tell that this person is mine. So it was for therapeutic purposes. So one thing I struggled with was access to data of Black folks, right? So I couldn't find a database of smiling people. And for these things, you need like over 200 pictures, for example. I couldn't find access to data for Black folks. So what I had to do was I used a database of Asians for my projects. So that was one of the challenges I faced. It worked pretty well, but I can imagine myself doing the same project now, right now. I'm going to do a killer job because I have so much available to me. The data will not be a challenge. There's so many algorithms I can just integrate. Do you understand? So I feel like a lot has improved and a lot can still be done. I feel that coding should definitely be a course integrated in the curriculum from basic school to date. And it should also be, I don't know, in my time we had science, art, and social science. I don't know if that's still the case. I feel like in the sciences, there should be a specialization on computer-related work. So be it AI and what's not, people can go there to specialize and then decide if they want to, maybe in their, I don't know what it's called now, SS3 or what's not, decide if they want to go further with that in the university. So I feel like a lot of these problems will be solved if people are taking through a certain type of career path, which I feel is what's missing. So for me, I already said to myself, my kids are going to learn coding from age 2. They're going to start with Scratch. And then, because of course, I have a background, thank you, Sean. I have a background in coding. I'm going to guide them through. I mean, it's not by force. If it's not something of your interest, you can drop it at one point. But I'm going to introduce it to them very early on, right? So that they decide if it's something they want to continue. I feel like it's a skill that not specifically coding, but digital skill is something that everybody should have, one form or the other. So I'm not undermining product design, product management, and what's not. These are tech skills, exactly. I feel like everybody should have a certain level of tech skills because you should be able to integrate the tools that are available to you in whatever it is you are doing. For example, I use Grammarly, it's integrated to my browser, you know, so able to check my emails. Initially, I would just have to sit down and ensure I'm writing the right thing. I use OpenAI to draft emails, check it on Grammarly. So there are so many resources available to us. One thing you need to know is how to use those resources. So I'll give an example. I had a friend when ChatGPT came out, it was like, this thing is so crazy. Hello, I'm not going to hire junior engineers again. Like, you just write it like a text and then it tells you what to do. I'm like, okay, are you sure? Let's have this conversation again in 3 months. In 3 months, it came out like, okay, I think I would still need a junior engineer as long as they know how to use ChatGPT. That's one example. Another example this was recently, I think 2 months ago, I was sitting in an interview with a friend. A friend was interviewing for an engineer. And then it was a peer review. So it was the engineer was talking and typing, he was asking questions, and then he muted himself. He was like, hello, I can tell that this person is copying from Stack Overflow or and ChatGPT. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yes, it's taking so much time. And then he could tell in a certain way. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean for you? He said, I'm still going to hire him. Why? Because he knows how to use the tools that are publicly available to him. This guy is going to deliver fast. They want people that know what they are doing and can deliver fast. So it's for them. I'm not saying that you guys should do this in interviews, but for them, they want people that understand these tools and how to use the tools to help to supplement their work, assist them, not necessarily just focus on the tool. You need to know what you're doing. So the guy understood the logic behind what he was doing and he was able to copy or clone the code and then do whatever it is it needed to be done and explain it to. So it was like, I will still hire this guy. These are some examples. So I feel, yes, we need to do more. I feel the government, because I feel like, I don't know if I'm right, but I think there are more people in public schools. And in order to be able to achieve this goal, the government has to put in more, I don't know, hire the right set of people to teach this thing, train the trainers into schools to teach the children, to teach the teenagers down to the higher educational system. Yeah.
Hi, Sean, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but I was just going to say, like, at this point, technology seems to be like a foundational skill. If you look at what's been going on in the U.S. over the last like 50 to 100 years, they've transitioned to like from a labor-based economy to a thought work-based economy, which is basically speaking to the digital economy. So if you look at the direction that AI and some of these other tools are going, and it's going forwards, not backwards. So if we want to participate, and again, she's so eloquently mentioned like our lack of participation and the impact that it has, but that digital gap that we speak of, I didn't really understand it until I started playing around with AI and seeing how people that use it are moving way faster, much faster than those who aren't. I used to look at people who were using ChatGPT as somebody who is cheating. Now I'm telling people, why in 2024, why are you having spelling errors? How can you say with your full chest that because English is not your first language that you can't write an email? Why does it take you 2 days to write a blog? How is it you've been brainstorming for 2 hours and you only have 3 ideas? Like all of that is out the window now. Now speed is the platforms are there. Everything is there. And it's either you use it or you get left behind.
I just have to say, I think it's very important we all learn to use these technologies appropriately. I really loved your illustration, Elo. That person was very, very smart. So while you're using this technology, it's also important to know your stuff. Knowing your stuff helps you to utilize these tools effectively and even better. I mean, speaking to the integrations that are happening now, you'll see even with so many IDEs, such as Replit, even AI is also there. The minute you type apostrophe, everything comes out immediately. If you're typing in, it's giving you a possible input you'd want to use. And it's the same thing with Grammarly for your mails. Now, just press tab. It has fully brought out your mail for you. And so we're rounding up right now. We're so out of time, but I'm enjoying this session. I'm so tempted just let everybody give their opinions on all the questions. But we'll be speaking to Sultan. Hi, Sultan. I'm sure you're ready for the question. We're learning materials for us, but just so last questions would be directed to Williams and Sultan. Sultan is speaking from the educational part, and Williams from employing decisions anyway. So to Sultan, what do you think, what's the impact of generative AI, such as ChatGPT, on conventional educational framework? And do you perceive it as beneficial or detrimental to the younger generation? And so this question would have, Sultan will be speaking from the educational POV, Williams will be speaking towards the career POV. So Sultan.
Okay, please. You did the vision. Please, can you repeat the last sentence? You said
okay.
Upskilling from Barango.
So the impact of generative AI on conventional educational framework? And do you think it's beneficial or detrimental?
Okay. Oh, so it's like a
I think
debate.
that is so.
Okay. Hello, fellow judges, panel of
I feel
speakers,
like I'm giving you the leeway
accurate
to just go.
timekeeper, my co-panelists, and my fellow audience. Yeah, my name is Sultan, and I'm representing Team A that is against that is detrimental. Now, okay, so yeah, okay, let me just be serious. I said, yeah. So the thing is this: in the African context, I would give a two-way scenario actually. Now, let's say, for example, you have a child that is learning the basics in school. Let's say JSS1 and call it, or just even say primary one. And AI, see it as you have an option of AI and a calculator, ChatGPT and a calculator, for example. And the question is, the child is learning 2 plus 2, you understand? And you plug into a calculator, it brings out 2 plus 2, it brings out 4. You understand? And the child could also assimilate that, oh, 2 plus 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand? You know how the process gets there. You understand? That's one. Now, when you take it a step further, the child gets to GSS1 and is dealing with, I don't know what the topics looks like these days, but let me just guess this minus B plus or minus 4AC over 2A. That's almighty formula, right? And no, let's just say he's doing Jesus Christ. I used to know maths. I'm not like this on the normal day. I used to know maths. I'm serious. But there's this substitution method and elimination method. It's under what subject exactly?
It's mathematics.
Yeah, I know kind of. Under what topic? It's mathematics, I know. You might not know that I know it's mathematics, but it's mathematics. But the whole point is when you actually want to get like an answer to a certain question and algebra, oh thank you. Simultaneous equation, finally. Thank you, simultaneous equation. Good. Now the difference between you using AI and you not using AI as an individual, as a student, here is that when you use AI, it gives you the answer. It's not like a calculator, you understand? It just drops out the whole process. Now the difference is it's not gonna you necessarily not get how exactly each of these processes are intertwined, but you just get to see that, oh, I move this from this and then minus 2AC and then I remove the AC. You get the answer, you see the whole process. Why calculator is better than AI in this instance is that for calculator, you need to actually impute each step yourself. So it means that you need to know what you want to minus before you press on the calculator to get a result. But for AI, you press the question, you get the whole answer. Now, if you start your whole core learning of mathematics using AI, for example, you understand? It means there is really no reason for you to tax your brain and know exactly how to do this on pen and paper. You get so even if people use ChatGPT here, you've had issues where it gave you a wrong answer and you had to correct it. Yes, and then it said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is the correct answer." You get, but when you have no idea what is right and what is wrong, or you even have no idea of getting what is right and what is wrong, whatever answer you get is what you're going to keep following on, and then you continue building on that. Now that is one. Number two is because you're talking about the educational space now. When people need to write letters like, oh, write a letter to your best friend and co like that. Now, in the US and some other countries, even a little bit in the UK, and people who are doing advanced studies, there are tools that these lecturers use to check if your article or your research was copied from an AI platform or a generative system platform. But we really don't have that in Nigeria. So it means the lecturers can never identify if this is AI generated or not. It means you're having students who would go through the 4 walls of the school, and without the internet, they cannot do anything. That's why you're going to have coppers who cannot write a letter. I've seen coppers who cannot write a letter that, oh, I want to go on a break. You understand? Write a short letter to the controller so that say I want to go on a break. They can speak good English, fluent English, but they just write it down, write a letter. They don't know that there's something called formal or informal letter. They don't know any of these things. So it's AI is a tool that is good if you know exactly what the foundation is. You understand? And that's the reason why you're talking about somebody in I think I was talking about somebody in an interview and the person was copying text from AI for the interview. The first thing is you need to know what to ask. You understand? You need to know what to ask and you need to know where to impute it. Sometimes the answers are wrong, but it looks very fancy. So when you don't even have any idea what is right and what is wrong, you just start copying and pasting. And that's where the problem is going to start from. So in our own African context here in Nigeria, I'm telling you that if you want to integrate AI into schools, it's still pretty much early for the traditional institutions. If it's an online technical schools and co like that, it's different. But traditional institution, it's a little bit dangerous because when people have no need to actually tax their brain to know how the fundamentals of things work, how the fundamentals of letter writing works, of algebra works, of further math works. The problem there is you cannot do anything without the internet, and that's where the problem will start from. You are now internet locked. I'm a big fan of using AI, you understand, but the point is, it's not going to take away the fact that you need fundamental skills. AI is not going to build a Stripe platform for you. AI can debug issues if Stripe API have a downtime or Paystack API have a downtime. But AI is not going to build a startup for you. It's not going to build. Even AI companies have software engineers that are building the AI. So you understand? And they're not using. So when you look at it, it's important. AI is important at the higher level, but at the traditional basic level itself of education, I think it's very good that these people grab all the concept of how being able to say, oh, you have 20,000 naira, and this is 10,000 naira. Which one is bigger? How many things can you buy from here? Being able to sort colors, you understand? These things are very important. That people have this cognitive skill, they have these analytical skills that is traditional. You can count 2 plus 2 and minus 3 and minus 1 and say, oh, this is minus this can minus this cannot minus this. There's a time in studies where if the question of 5 minus 10, they will say it's impossible. That's the answer. And then later on you start getting that, oh, there is minus 5. That growth is necessary. Imagine telling the child that, oh, 5 from the beginning, that minus 10 from 5, minus 5 already. There is no concept of 0. You understand? So when you start thinking of this and the AI takes away all those processes, and without internet, you have a generation that cannot function without the internet and cannot even identify if something is right or wrong. AI is still learning. AI is still very much new. It cannot be the only source of identification and verification that we need. You need individuals be able to make assessments itself. It's very important that you yourself can identify what is right and what is wrong. But then when you know it already, it's easier to use AI and just say, oh, I already know how to write this whole block of code, but I don't need to start writing from scratch. I can just review what the AI gives me, and then you copy and paste it. As opposed to, you don't even know if it's right or not, you just start pasting. And that's how you have people that start losing money in fintech app. I'm just saying. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think just as Lord said, there are building blocks. You have to understand, know particularly what you're doing. Know it very well before you want to use this AI. The integrations that AI is doing with all these technologies and softwares we're seeing is because there is already the building block. There are people who already know this is what this solution is supposed to do. Integrating with AI means it's just improving, making it better. We started with counting. I remember counting with Agbalmosi, to using computer to do my calculation. If you ask me 4 plus 2 now, I can say 6 because, oh, I got it. I can say 6 because, oh, I had done the whole mathematics back in primary school. But if you ask me like 12, I know, I remember when I just left school, when we're practicing, interview questions, right, for investment banking, you see people ask you, they tell you there are 200 students, there are little additions and multiplication you should be able to get the final answer. It's important to know what you're doing before you can start saying you want to use the AI. And to Williams, and I particularly want you to answer this question, especially with a lot of example of the engineer who had used AI. How do you think AI can make it better, or even the impact on employing decisions, both from the employee perspective and from the employer perspective?
Okay.
Also, do you think it's beneficial?
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so AI, just like what Hat Sultan has said, I'll call it a supportive tool, right? It's not there to remove the creativity out of, what it is you're being told to do, right? From an employer perspective, we've seen people apply for jobs, severally, and they put their cover letter, and the cover letter you can see is AI generated. When a recruiter is typically looking at people that are applying for a company or to a company, they're looking at, okay, how intentional were you, right? So what that means is, from your cover letter, we want to see you express yourself. It doesn't mean AI can play a supportive role in maybe you come up with your own ideas on how you want to express yourself. And you can just go to ChatGPT and say, paraphrase this for me, right? And it gives you something that is more natural, and you can then put it out there. That's the supportive role it can play in the area of applying for jobs. So when companies see that, or recruiters see that, then your CV has to be that thing that says, okay, we want to let you through the door and then invite you for an interview. That's on one front. From an engineering perspective, I would say that, just like every AI was built on a model and was trained with data, right? And if as an engineer, you don't know what it is you're doing, and you're just going to ChatGPT to copy code and just paste it on maybe a legacy platform that you're working on, or a platform you're working on, you're exposing that company to some security risks, right? So there are a couple of things you need to know the fundamentals, just like every other person has said, right? And know what it is you're taking, and then applying it to your code base in essence. So if there was a talent that hopped on an interview a couple of days ago, and we saw that he was literally looking at this tools. But the recruiter in question, for the company, wanted to see, because it was an algorithmic question, they wanted to tax his mind, and they were seeing that he just copied, pasted, dragged and dropped, and that disqualified him. So while there's some, because again, you need to also understand that recruitment is a bit subjective, and it's subjective to the recruiter in question. I also need to know what it is they're looking out for. And they are looking, some companies look out for critical thinking, and that's what's important. So if you can't critically think about what you're doing, even if you copied it, add some creativity to what you copied, right? And put it out there, and when people see that, they know that, oh, I know that if I get this guy, he can apply that information, and whatever information he gets online, or on ChatGPT. Again, we also need to understand that I would say ChatGPT is an advanced Google, right? Before now, we were, developers or engineers or anyone typically go on Google and find things, and people read, right? You read a lot of materials, related stuff, and then come up with something. But with ChatGPT right now, a lot of people just do, mindless lifting. They just lift things mindlessly and just paste it there. And typically, as an employer, when we see that, it sometimes, for some people, when we see creativity in it's a plus. When we see mindless lifting, it's a negative. So that's the angle I'll come from.
Thank you so much, William. I'm so tempted to get everyone's thoughts on this question. I mean, like Sean, in regards to investment and your work with startups, a lot of so tempted, but we have to round up now. I mean, we're way past our time for today. Thank you so much, everyone. I have taken a lot from this session, and I love how we touched on every applicable things to our listeners, from startup to engineers to beginners, even the employee point of view to the government interaction point of view. Thank you so much. There are some questions in the comment section, and as well as arguments. Sultan, I'm sure you'd be happy to respond to these people that are telling us that AI is causing more harm. I can see your responses already, but it's important to know how to use these tools, these technologies to our benefits. While you can say, of course, people would abuse them, of course, they'll be abused, but for each of us that actually have a need for these technologies, understand what you need them for, understand how to integrate your problems to the solutions they offer. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm moving on to you. If you leave me here, I would sit down and be writing and be asking more questions. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll be rounding up now. Amma, take over. Thank you. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. And I actually was enjoying and writing and jotting things down. I mean, here I am already going to have a lot of reading and reviewing to do based off of the conversation and the questions asked, and I just want to say thank you so much. On behalf of Africa FinTech Foundry, I would like to extend, our heartfelt gratitude to the panelists, to the speakers, to our attendees, for gracing us with their presence, and for just being a very, very critical part of this event. We thank you so much. We're deeply appreciative, and I would like to express our sincere gratitude for my team members as well who are joining me planning this event and putting it up together. Thank you so much, all the little Africa FinTech Foundry in the corners there. So thank you so much. Furthermore, I'm also highlighting again the upcoming events that we have coming up this year. Currently, we have the Youth Thrive program ongoing, so do not hesitate to register. I will put the link again on the chat section, and follow us on our social media platforms. We are on IG, we're on LinkedIn, we are as well on Twitter, on X, Twitter now X, and we always have a plethora of activities from summer camp for kids to training programs to entrepreneurship skill sets. So always engage us. And we do host ecosystem twice a year. So rest assured there'll be another one happening in December. So keep your eyes peeled to our social media and also your mails as well, because we'll be reaching out to you when the next one's holding. Then we do have activities for solely specifically for women. We have a Women in Tech program that holds once a year. It's probably holds towards the middle of the year. Obviously, we're on our socials. I want to thank you very much, Sean, Eloho, Sultan. I don't know how you have those phones, man, but like, thank you. Abby, thank you so much. Abby has been up since 2 a.m. Just prepping herself for this. And thank you so much, Abby. Thank you, guys. Thank you to our participants, those who dropped off because they need to charge their phones, but still kept on. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Really, really. I really appreciate it. But then again, like I always say, do not forget to connect. So drop your LinkedIn names, everybody. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's carry the conversations all the way to different social media platforms. It doesn't have to stop here. Keep upskilling your career and, keep enhancing your existing skills with tech. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Business mindset, and in doing that will make serious impact socioeconomically. And indeed, the prediction that by 2030, AI will have added $16 trillion US to world economy, a share of that can be in Nigeria. And that is our dream, and that is our passion. Thank you.
We're in a very, very unique position in Nigeria right now from a technology perspective.
Okay.
You know, I was saying earlier on in a different talk that, you know, we say we're in the fourth industrial revolution right now, or the tail end of the fourth industrial revolution. You know, and if you look at Africa as a whole, what happened to us in the first, second, and third industrial revolution? Cake. In terms of talent. So when we talk about baking a bigger cake, what we're talking about is increasing that talent pool.
Yeah.
So that means that, you know, organizations that are really serious about digitalization, you know, have to not just think about themselves. They have to think about the wider society. You have to basically produce and train more than you need. So for us really in FinTech NGR, that's FinTech Nigeria, you know, our role is to grow a bigger ecosystem that collaborates and promotes, you know, that FinTech industry within the country.
Looking at the country, the continent, and having the opportunity to experience payments in the UK especially, felt that perhaps Nigeria deserved better. So I started thinking about this whole idea of retail payments. I'm an engineer by training, never done banking, never done payments. But I could tell by going to the bank, then starting the queue, getting tally numbers, queuing up to get cash, going home, taking the risk of being robbed. I just felt there was a better way to do this. And that is where the idea to start InterSwitch came from. If you really want to solve a problem, you are solving the problem for individuals. Understand individuals and deal with it. There should be that crop of people who still believe in the power of technology. You don't have to wake up one day and realize that the generation of people like also went to school and studied engineering don't exist anymore. Everybody wants to be a musician, everybody wants to be a social influencer, because that is what they see. But somehow, if you want to solve real problems, technology is something you cannot ignore.
Part of my founding team included people I met in the university also. Yes. But one of the mistakes that people also make is not having enough industry experience before a startup.
Yes.
I reasoned to myself that, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur, and most entrepreneurs have always historically been entrepreneurs, right? I reasoned to myself then that if you want to enter an industry that is quite matured, like has an age, you need to get up to the state of the art. Getting to state of the art means that you should work in a place or at least learn the state of the art, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm looking around to some of our favorite startups that you know are doing quite well, and most of them are not. They are all experienced guys before they started. However, in terms of providing financial services, the central bank has licensed fintechs to provide financial services, either payments, agency, switching, etc.
Yes.
So first of all, that fundamental difference means that there's a subset of financial services that fintechs can never touch unless you're a bank. Ability to take deposits and ability to give loans. So because ultimately every payment that you do as a fintech is going to be stored eventually as money, it means that a fintech needs a bank.
Yes.
And that is one of the first points of cooperation.
Yes.
Every fintech is an interesting client for every bank.
Yes.
In fact, some of the biggest clients that banks have today are fintechs. So that's one major point of collaboration that is not going to end.
Today, so let's take a look at it. Today, if I wanted to start a business, I will not even go and look for an office. I will start my business now.
Yes.
I don't need to look for an office because the most important people is my customers, and my customers don't even want to come to my office at all. They want to access my products and services. So my new office is actually my website, my web front, my Instagram page. That's what people do. Small businesses are the biggest employer of labor in developed economies, not government.
Yeah.
And so we need, and we have 40 million small businesses that are somewhat excluded because they don't have access to services that make them sustainable, access that enables them to employ more people, right? To be more productive, right? As people change, lifestyles change, as people's mode of accessing services change, we must be able to be responsive to that and change that. So today, it's mobile. Tomorrow, it's going to be a different device. It could be Internet of Things. It could be, wearables. And I may be wearables, exactly. And I believe if you watch, I I can't remember what that name was, Arnold Schwarzenegger again. I can't remember it again. But
Terminator.
Not Terminator. I think it's the one where Total Recall.
Okay.
Fantastic. The new version, and you see they're talking to people, and from their hand.
Yeah.
That shit is going to happen. Believe me, because it's just a matter of time. You only have to watch. I'm a great fan of Star Wars and Star Trek. And if you watch Star Trek in the 70s,
Okay.
and see the device, they were using mobile phones in the 70s, early 70s,
Right.
to talk, or they call them transponders. Today,
It's almost normal.
It's
Yeah.
almost normal. Watch Star Trek, the last Star Trek in the last 5 years, and believe me, it's going to happen. I was at a Google conference one day, and a developer came on stage and said, "Why do African countries like hiding their data?" And it was like, it's kind of true, right? Either the data